Today is October 16th, 2024. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty, now I am going to invite Nash Cox, who is with us, to give us a blessing tonight. How are you doing, Nash?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Thank you. It's
Thanks
good to be here.
Thank you for being here.
Oh God, Creator of all, bless this meeting today. May the elected representatives of the people of Franklin County consider with wisdom and insight the issues being brought before them. With your guidance, they will reach for the greatest common good, working for fairness and progress for all. It is a grave responsibility, but with divine inspiration and vision, each member can lift his or her thinking to a higher level, to embrace our desire for an effective, inclusive governing body. Lead us to steer the future of our beautiful, vibrant community with divine direction and grace. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Yeah, very nice. Alrighty, I'm going to ask, is there any public comments? Seeing none, we're going to go ahead and invite Shane to the podium. We're going to start right off with you, Shane.
I didn't know I was going to get to be first.
I know, look at that, look at that. So Shane, why don't you tell everybody who you are, and after last meeting, you know, there were so many discussions about broadband, this, that, and the other. It's pretty much what Shane does for the Bluegrass ad. So I thought he'd be a good person to come in and kind of just talk a little bit about where we are in the process.
Thank you, Judge. I appreciate it. My name is Shane New. I'm the Deputy Director of Bluegrass Area Development District. I'm also the Director of IT and Information Systems and GIS there at Bluegrass Area Development District as well. I'll take care of that department and section. Been working with broadband and on broadband for several years. We've been trying to accomplish it. And over the years we've had situations where there was no money and plenty of time to do this. And in the last little bit, there's been more money and not enough time. And so things have obviously changed quite a bit. Hopefully they'll be, by the time this time next year, a few more years from that, we'll at least have kind of committed. Most of the places will have something going on to get broadband out into all of our rural areas. So we've been trying for a long time to get it out in the rural area, and we're excited about what's happened with round one, round two, and with what's coming up with the BEAD program as well. So be happy to answer any questions and go over kind of what is available. And Judge, I guess I would just kind of ask you if you have any preferences of what we kind of discuss. I'm more open for questions than anything else.
And that's good. Can you talk a little bit about, I personally think there's been confusion with the pre-qualification and who did it and those dates. I think everyone kind of got in a hurry, and then I think everything's, to me, is just sitting right now.
Yes, sir. Pre-qualifications ended in September on what they had applied, and really that was just the initial application for the folks that are going to apply for a grant to put in. And in most cases, and almost 99% of the things that I'm aware of, all of that has been the ISPs that are doing those putting in those applications. The only reason that you would put in an application as a county or a city or something of that nature would be if you actually intended on running an ISP and being the actual people that would run that. So there's very limited outside of just running an internet service provider, that application, on putting that in, that you would actually be out there. And so currently right now they have just ended those their first round of that, getting people on the qualifications for the pre-application. And my guess is there's nothing actually laid down now that's nailed down, but my guess is that they will be putting in probably at the first, around January or something before they could ever even start accepting applications from the internet service providers that is out there. And, so when we get questions asked to us from fiscal court or from local jurisdictions, what it is that you all need to be doing right now and what it is, it's hard to make recommendations, quite frankly, on what you should be doing, the truth of the matter is. Because most of this, 90% of it, is in the hands of the internet service providers. So most of what I try to direct the local folks to do is, is to be supportive of anything that's kind of coming your way on what the internet service providers are coming to you with and what they're presenting to you as their proposals and stuff like that, sharing with you. When you look at the applications that's coming out, the real only thing that we have that gives us guidance on what is coming up is kind of the scorecard that the state has put out there. And basically they've got kind of a 100-point system that they have put out on what they're going to do for the applications. And I've actually got that if you want. Could I pass it around,
Sure.
Judge?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Give out a copy of that. Sorry about the printing on this, to get this down to one page. It's kind of hard to get. Yeah, thank goodness I got these glasses nowadays, or I wouldn't be able to see it at all. But there's really only one item in here that I think that you all have. Obviously, county's fiscal court has an influence on any of this. You're going to have the ability to influence it to some degree, obviously. But that influence really a lot comes down to one item on this particular part, and it still kind of isn't even on the internet. It isn't on the county or the jurisdiction to, at that point even, it's really on the internet service provider to come to you. And the total of the points that are on here, there's only 7 points that is set aside for the local counties. I'm sorry, that's 7 points set aside. That is basically for local coordination for the internet service provider. And basically that gives them those 7 points if they come to the local counties and have a coordinated effort between them and you all on what it is. So my guess is very, very, very soon you're going to start getting knocks at the door for folks that are going to say, hey, we're planning on putting in a grant for this, and we want to inform you of what that grant is, let you know if they do plan on you having to put skin in the game for that, and then to basically get a coordinated effort with you. What we've seen in some of the round 1, round 2 funding, the county can have a great amount of influence just in the coordinated effort between the different utilities that exist out there. In several counties, what we've seen, Judge, is the local judge will set up a weekly or monthly meeting, with all of the people that are involved, utility companies, and getting pole acquisitions, things of that nature, is probably the biggest hurdle that most of these folks face, is being able to get on those existing utilities that are out there. And that seems to be one of the areas where our local counties and the judge can use their influence to pull those folks together and help work out those arrangements so that they make a better effort to get that done as quickly as possible. And so that's one area that I would maybe, and maybe the groundwork could even be laid now for some of that, for the upcoming, projects that'll be out there. But outside of that, really, in all honesty, the biggest points that are on this is going to be how cheaply they can get to each individual broadband service location. So those serviceable locations that are out there counts for 35 points of the 100 points is based on what the internet service provider turns in for those. Now, that doesn't include local match. That's part of that is part of the local match. And everything that I'm seeing in what the points lay out, it really doesn't give additional bonus points for the local county having put money into it. That doesn't mean it's not a good idea. I wouldn't say that ever. I think that any time that you show, that you have skin in the game, essentially, that's a positive for when people are looking at this as a whole, especially when it comes to our state agencies looking at those things. So I'm not saying not to do that, I'm just saying that there's no extra points in the system for that. And then since that's not the case, and I've been on many grant applications before where I've been a reviewer of those things, I will tell you that the points kind of dominate everything. You know, because when you're looking at these things, that's what dominates the scorecard. And so I would be encouraging of any internet service provider out there to make sure their applications are very good so that, you know, Franklin County gets their fair share of the money that's out there for that. And obviously, if supporting that is something you feel like will make that application stronger, then that's what I would recommend you do as well. And, there's even the possibility, you know, part of what they're doing in this is that they're looking at how strong the company is in making these decisions and how long they'll last. One of the concerns that I have is how long will the maintenance and stuff be updated on this? I live in a rural area. I know how that's happened over the past. We had internet service providers come in and they provided dial-up service, in some cases fairly early on, but it wasn't able to withhold what it needed to long term. Now obviously if you're putting fiber in to these locations, a lot stronger. It's a matter of it's going to last. There's not a lot going to come along that's going to make it outdated very quickly by any means, but the equipment you hook up to that could be outdated. You know, the fiber itself will still be good. It can withhold anything that we've got on there. So the main things on it is the broadband serviceable locations, the cost per pass essentially, and then the availability, the affordability of your 1 gig and 100 megabits per second speeds. So these are the things that are given. That first one's 35 points on how many they go by and what the cost is per customer they essentially go by. And then the other one is 30 points for what the cost is and the affordability of the 1 gig service and the 100 megabits by 20 megabits service on there. The third one is actually the fair labor standards. And on down the list is where we get to the local coordination, which they give 2 points for evidence of 1 engagement with the locals. They give 4 points for 2 engagements, 6 points for 3 engagements, and 7 points for 4 or more engagements with the local community. And how they prove that and what they do, I'm not real sure. I'm not real sure how exactly they're going to prove that they had those engagements. But obviously they're encouraged to do that, and I think that, you know, that's, in a lot of cases, that 7 points will mean a lot to them, and they're going to do their best to get that. And they also know that a lot of it is once they are awarded, if they are awarded money by the state broadband office for this through BEAD, that engagement with you all become extremely important at that point in getting it accomplished. With the BEAD program, it is a 4-year window from the time that they actually have the signing to the time they have to get the work done, with a 1-year possibility of an extension on that. So yeah, we're still looking at a good little ways down the road before we can get everybody service, you know. And so there's a lot, unfortunately, it is a lot of time, and there's a lot of things that have to take place, and it's slow. Even in the areas where, you know, one of your neighbors, Scott County, has been very fortunate to get an NTIA grant very early on in the process. I'm thinking it's probably 6 years ago that all kind of started out or more, you know. They're close to getting things done now. They've had a lot of success, but if you talk to the judge over there, he'll tell you it's been a lot of push too. It's been a lot of hard work and effort to get them to that point, and there's still tasks over there to do. There's still things that they have to do that they need to get done. So, is there any questions that you have? Yes,
Judge. Yeah, Shane, thanks for being with us. Last time you were here back in spring, we went through the mapping process to look at that before any of the scoring criteria came out. Can you explain a little bit about, we were looking for underserved, not served at all,
yes,
and at the time there was a thought that the economic of the residents and the availability to any services would impact the scoring criteria, and we thought that we would have a very good opportunity given some of our dynamics of our county. Has that weighed into this very much at all? And how did our final mapping turn out? How do you think that relates?
Well, the mapping's a little bit of why there's not a lot going on right now, as you know, too. Part of that is it is a bigger task than most people probably realize. My understanding is that the state is actually right now trying to get some of that wrapped up and some of the information from that put together and piecemeal together, because they've got things from different sources and things like that. And so they have not yet submitted that to NTIA for review. So that's a little bit of a holdup. I'm definitely not going to criticize anybody in that, because we did have a lot of experience with that. Some of the holdup may be because the area development districts might have given the data a little bit different in one place compared to the other. And in fact, I know for a fact that inside my district, we got back information differently from almost every source that we utilized and that we had on there. There was obviously affordability is a big part of what they want to try to make in this, also in the equity of things and making sure that everybody has access to it and the ability to get that. And pricing is a portion of it, and that's why it rates on that affordability is a high rating on this. If you look at that 30-point factor on there, that is one of the things that's going to be in consideration. Now, it doesn't necessarily give more points for having areas that would meet those low to moderate incomes, like I was kind of hoping might be the case
So none
as
of that
well.
census tract information
It's
is
not
going to apply.
necessarily, there is when you get on down, I think there's some things that you can interpret a little bit more that way on the points. But in all honesty, the way they're approaching it is from that standability of affordability on the front end of it more than they are on the areas of low to moderate income. Part of the state plan, however, is to support applications and processes for their 5-year broadband plan to try to continue on those programs that would help subsidize some of those in low to moderate income areas out there. And so it's not necessarily part of the scoring criteria for the broadband application grant in a direct sense, but I think it will come into play some as well.
Can I ask you too, there's a little point here, bullet point about local governments may support one or more multiple sub-grants. You know, we're that one of those unique counties like everyone along the river that we're divided into, and Squire Head and my district are where most of these underserved populations are, and I don't see the same utility running a line across the river or under it necessarily. So how can we navigate what I think is probably going to be the likely outcome, where we may have 3 service providers going after different areas, north, east, northwest, and then, maybe central, with the plant board's already expanding. How would that be weighted, do you think?
Well,
equally as a unit, maybe as a whole county?
That's a very good question, because it's one that they are attempting to look at this, and there may be situations where even this does not work, more in a block group kind of factor.
Okay.
So they're taking, if you're familiar with the census block groups, you all have several because your population is a little bit higher than most of our smaller rural counties. But those block groups are how they're kind of looking at that to divide those up. And it's one reason why that I hate to say that we're in a holding pattern a little bit here, but once we get the locations and the idea about who is going to be providing, or putting forth grants on this, it'll give you a better idea about where those areas might be. I don't know if you have anybody that has approached you up to this point that is going to do the entire county. And that would be the one thing that I would, be looking at as well. Obviously, is everybody going to get served? And you do have different geographies here that might make it easier to come in from out of a northern county down into some of the other areas, or different areas like that may be already serving in those areas, that might make a factor in some of those block groups on how many you're possibly going to get. It's very clear that they can potentially offer more than just one ISP inside of a single county. In a lot of our rural counties, you don't see that as often, because in all honesty, they're lucky if they get one internet service provider. In your all's case here, I could definitely see there being some competition that might help you end up getting into different areas, and might even provide a better service to some of those areas.
So I'm thinking it's important maybe for this court to start thinking about how we navigate managing all of those entities as one, right? And that's going to be our biggest role, in addition to some financial outset potentially.
Yeah, that would be if I was making recommendations for you, that would be my thing, is to try to get a feel for who is going to be potentially part of the players in the game, and do that. I don't want to say delay, because I know that everybody wants to. I am a rural customer for broadband. I had to go and pay for Starlink because that was the only choice I had. And I'm fortunate enough to be able to afford Starlink. Not real well, but I can afford it. And I know that that's not the case for a lot of people. And so, you know, we know that everybody is in a rush to try to get this, and I fully understand that, personally understand that. And, but at the same time, you're in a situation where this possibly is the last chance we're going to get, the last amount of funding, in my opinion, especially of this nature. We fought for years to try to get anywhere close to this kind of funding, to just get a few counties down here and there. We were lucky to get Scott County before a lot of this came up. You know, that they were able to fight, they went in there and fought and finally got it. But they were fortunate to do that and had to pay a consultant pretty good money to come in and help get that grant, you know.
Squire Sebastian.
Yeah. And so.
Thank you, Judge.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were done.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's okay. Mr. Newton, thank you very much for being here. I'm going to address my question to the judge. Judge, I know at our last meeting, you had said that some potential providers had reached out to you directly, and you said at that meeting that you'd be happy to share information with the court from those providers. So do you know at this point what the universe of potential providers for Franklin County is?
Yeah, so
I
I
do you
talked,
have like the pre-qualification information?
the state wouldn't give it to me. So I know of two, you know, that the third one that was talking to me was about a totally different thing. They came in and talked last week, but I was about Connect Kentucky. It was mostly about the internet to municipalities and things like that. It had nothing to do with residential. I called the state office, and she said she's not able to give that information out, but she said there's more than two providers that have put Franklin County on the applications.
So we haven't had providers that have pre-qualified for Franklin County. All of them, I'm assuming, I'm intuiting from what you're saying, they have not reached out to us, to Franklin County.
Two have.
Two have.
We have a meeting next week with one of them, and the other one said they're not ready to come and talk because they're not there yet in the process.
So when they say they're not there yet in the process, what's that mean?
Well, this is
I'm
all
gonna just
speculation.
Yeah, I'm trying to speculate too. I'm trying to.
Yeah.
Exactly, fully
think we're
Yeah,
all
I'm
understand.
not an
figure
internet
that out.
person, yeah, I mean, she just said we're not there yet.
My speculation on that
Okay.
would be possibly, one of the simple facts is that the map is not 100% complete. Now, if I was an internet service provider sitting on that, I would go with whatever data I had in hand and assume that's going to be correct and then adjust from there, right? I mean, but truthfully, we don't know for certain what's going to come out of that on the other end to have that map. And once the state gets done with that map, then they have to provide that to NTIA, who then is probably going to take a minimum 60 days to review and get that submitted, so that locks in what is going to be eligible and what won't be eligible. Now, I don't know if that's, all that's holding them up or not, or what the process is, but that's at least one speculation on what could be the potential holdup on why they don't want to meet right yet. And anything else would be speculation without regards.
Go ahead, Squire.
So without that map, are you saying that service providers would be just speculating? on
Yeah,
what
and
could
I would
do?
imagine, I would imagine if I was in their shoes, I would be taking some applications moving forward. Now, these folks have several of them that are work across the state. They've got this system down pat on round one, round two. This is going to be very similar to what they had to do on that. So they wouldn't have to make much adjustments, but until they're probably ready to talk about that, especially if they're, looking at potentially asking you all to put skin in the game, they're going to want to come to you with their best proposal, I would hope, before they try to come in with something that may not be even eligible once they get to the point that the numbers are actually out there.
So going off what you just said with having some areas, people moving ahead already, I hope you can understand at our end, we have areas that seem to be low-hanging fruit and easier and more affordable for a company to run. And then we have areas that are not. And then when you have that low-hanging fruit gone, it's less likely to get a more affordable deal on the others.
Yeah.
And when you split them up, I feel like it hurts us. So We need the map drawn.
That's been, yeah, I understand, I 100% agree that it needs to be as soon as possible, simply because you're gonna have that. And we've noticed that throughout the districts over the entire period. Literally, in some places, we could show up and say that we're gonna put together a plan, and you'd start seeing things happen quickly because they thought there was gonna be a plan coming, whether there was or not. In some cases, we didn't even have to end up doing a broadband study because those folks went out there and got the low-hanging fruit. So we do know that's possibly what's gonna happen. Unfortunately, it's the wheels on our side on the government's moving a lot slower than it needs to, but unfortunately, I don't know if it can move any faster.
Sure.
We had to go through the plan, there's been criticism actually federally about how slow BEAD has been moving. A lot of it is bureaucratic, but we had to do the initial plan, and all of that was the way the direction come out from the federal government to get that done. And I think the plan is good, and I do think it was necessary to do a lot of this. And I think we finally got a map that you can actually use. It's not 100% perfect, but it is the best I have seen in 20 years on what has been mapped on broadband. And we've taken several stabs at that.
Being in the GIS.
That's right.
You can understand it more fully now.
Absolutely, and I'm telling you, this is much better. It's not perfect, but it is something that I would have confidence in giving to people to make decisions off of. And quite frankly, I have not seen a map on broadband up to this point that I could do until I could say that same thing about.
Well, after learning all this tonight, I put a little something together. Just, broadband is the top of my priority as I've been campaigning in the upcoming election on November 5th and 4th District. Numerous constituents have told me it's a need, not just a want, just for day-to-day life. So with that being said, I would urge the court to put a valiant effort to select the best provider for Franklin County and not rest until the underserved are serviced. I understand that with the map not being there, it's a little harder to do, but I think we need to work as hard as we can to get after it.
I don't have much to say. I haven't heard a whole lot, and I try to digest all that, but I have the same concern that Squire Blackburn has, that it ought to be all or nothing, because if you're just gonna get the low-hanging fruit, for lack of a better term, you're gonna have people left out, ain't never gonna get it. And so I'm sure y'all are working on that, and I'm not the only one that thinks this way, and maybe I should keep my thought to myself, because my district's fairly well covered. Actually, if Hickory Ridge gets it, it'll be almost everybody that wanted it. And I just see a lot of people getting left out if we're not careful.
I live 7/10 of a mile from where it's at. I can't get it.
Well, the guy calls
I mean,
me
personally.
the guy calls me every day, lives 150 yards across the field, and he can't get it.
I understand.
But,
Squire Wisman.
I think it's going to be just really important that we keep on top and know, Judge, you got to keep us informed of who's having conversations with us, because it's going to be about, there's some discussion in here about letters of support specifically from the magistrates, judge, executive, and otherwise that are going to be graded in this criteria for scoring, that we need to know what areas are moving, where there's interest by ISP utility providers, so that we can ensure that everyone's covered and not just the areas that are easiest to get to. I'm going to be, almost 800 of the 1,100 that are underserved are in my district right now, and I want to be certain that those far areas are going to be covered equally by the same provider if they're going near there. But at the same time, we already have fiber run by 2 separate ISP providers on each side of the river into downtown, I know, so I assume that there's going to be some different interest by those parties to serve those areas that they're already established in, even though they're not providing service currently. Judge, can you say to us, I don't think anything is embargoed. The plant board has expressed interest to us and has asked us for some financial assistance and support going forward. I think we're going to have a presentation. I'm assuming the other's AT&T that's reached out and expressed support. Can you say any others that?
No others.
Okay.
Nope. So like I said, when I called the state office, she isn't releasing that information, and I asked, is it more than 2? She just said yes and left it at that. So literally, that's all I know. And there has been really no deep discussions with that second one. It's just, I know there's been, hey, we might be interested. That's literally it. So that's where we are.
So we truly won't know until those entities come forth and say they're putting in a request for this funding to do this job, right?
Unfortunately, that's kind of where you're at. I don't know if they have any plans at the state board just to publish that list of folks that are on there, and even if they did publish the list, would you know are they applying for your county or not? You know, or if they've made mention of whether that's the particular county that they're doing. Yes, sir.
When would, with that being said, with us being, I mean, like I was looking at this point system, 7. That's what we have in the stake of 100.
I understand,
So,
yeah.
with those folks being the ones that set forth and say they want to move forward with those monies, they have to come to us. When is a realistic timeline, do you think, and I'm not talking about a date, but I'm talking a sequence of events to when that map is completed and all service providers have enough information to come to us and say, hey, we got one, because we can't wait forever. But at the same time, we don't want to be imprudent and move faster than what that schedule has been allowing.
Yeah, I don't know that I can give you, of course, any kind of deadline on that. And I will say, I do not work with the Office of Broadband at the state level. I contact those folks, they're super to work with. They've been very open to me on any questions that I've had over time. And, you know, frankly, if you want to call them, and I think you're open to doing that, they're open to talk to you as well. My assumption is that come January, we'll have a better idea about who is going to apply in which county. And, you know, that's when the mapping should be done, and my thoughts are is that the state will be releasing some of that information and some of that information out at that point. And then I suspect that they should be approaching you very quickly after that date, because that would be in their benefit. If they expect to be competitive, they're going to want that 7%. That 7 points, even though it may not sound like enough, it might be the tiebreaker.
Shane, the mapping that we did, we you know, some of us vetted some of our areas. Is there a, not necessarily an interactive site, but is there a place where our residents can go and see, you know, that their address was mapped as part of this and as underserved or anything, just so that they can, in the interim, while we're in effectively a holding pattern, that we can point people to, you know, sort of see some of that?
Yes, sir. I think it's still out there. I apologize for not having that with. I will send that, Judge, if it's okay. I'll send you the exact link, but I think you could look it up under the broadband, like under the NTIA or under the state broadband office, should be able to point you to some of that mapping.
Give us the link. That would at least be something that I could show residents like you. We know you're underserved or have no service opportunity, and at least to verify some of those as things come forward. So
they can see that they would be eligible for part of that in the future or something.
Squire Harrod, you had a hand up?
In your opinion, do you think if we start showing a little interest as far as matching and putting money out, that will speed up the process in any way, shape, or form for people coming forward to Franklin County?
You know, I don't know. I mean, obviously, anytime money's put out there, it's going to capture a certain amount of people. You know, it's the whole honey out there a little bit. It's going to capture the fly. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I do know that on this, there's no direct number that correlates to the locals having skin in the game, and I do know of counties that are being able to get promises. That's different than a contract, right? Right. That say they're going to do the county and they've not got a dime into it. Now, I really think a lot of it goes back to what you're talking about with these places that are really remote and hard. To me, that's where the county money can come into play at more, is when you can get under contract, get that guarantee, right? It's one thing for an internet service provider to come out here and say, yeah, we're going to provide internet service to your entire county in a fiscal court meeting and not have a contract where they've signed on the dotted line that says they're actually going to accomplish that. So that may be an area you want to look at as part of the overall thing, you know, is that assurances. Now, one of the things that the whole state board office for broadband was put together for was to assure that this grant money was not misspent, and that if they put forth money and they said we're going to cover this amount, then they made sure that they cover it. And if 5 or 6 years down the line they're not keeping that up to date or whatever, that's still an area that we can go back to and hold their feet to the fire on. You promised this, you've got taxpayer dollars to do it, now make sure you're doing it regardless of whether the county has money in it or not. You know, a lot of what their contract is with Bede, though, is to serve a direct, single number of people. To me, if you put the skin in the game, it may be to go beyond that and to make sure that you have some kind of clause in it that makes sure that every household in the county has service to them, and try to reach those ones that are not going to have a possibility of getting it once you grab that low-hanging fruit. And it's going to cost $10,000 to get out to that one place. They're never going to see that at any other time.
I just hate to know it takes 6, 8, or 10 years to get.
I know, and I would love to be able to promise you that this will be
Everything
done, if you signed a contract today, that it'd be done in 2 years, but I flat would be lying to you, sir, if I told you, I told you that.
Shane, would there be any, I'm thinking sort of theoretically about, I'm coming up with some issues in my district where water was not run 30 years ago, and now I'm having those roads develop and people buying in the area, and it's becoming more popular. The sort of the same instance where we may have unpopulated areas currently, or where there's not an active resident living to be counted in the mapping for this formulation, but has that been any consideration in any of the districts you've seen working to think
No,
about future
I
growth?
haven't. Well, I hate to say that we have heard it brought up in a couple of the different counties as part of the discussions we've had early on with just broadband in general, when we were doing regional type projects and things of that nature that they have wrote into it. I want to say that one of our local counties, had requested that as part of their, that not only would they provide internet service to the existing customers that were in these areas, but make sure that there's provisions that if that got developed on, that would still be able to extend out, at a certain distance, that the internet service provider was, of course, reasonable for them to actually make money off of. So there has been provisions that I know was discussed. I don't know that I could say that I've seen it in the contract, but I assume they probably put it in.
But that's a
since they
potential
was-
for,
Yeah.
I'm thinking for a contractual thing that, if
Absolutely.
they adopt an area, they agree to service all residents of that area into the future for the next 25 years or something.
Yes.
As a mandatory part of our buy-in.
I think that would definitely be something, and if the county puts funding into something, that would be a provision you'd want to probably make sure that it's in there as well, because I think that's a very smart way of looking at it.
Squire Tanner.
I'm gonna put you on the spot, and you don't have to answer this question if you don't want to. It's just, it doesn't change anything, just for my information. Under this initiative that's going on right now to put broadband in every county within, let's just say, your Bluegrass Area Development District, what percent, how many have been added on since this has been going on? Or how many percent, however you want to answer that question.
Well, under the BEAD program, of course, none has been, because nothing's been
None.
actually issued.
No. How long has it been going on? 2 or 3 years?
But for round 1 and round 2, those things are starting to roll out really fast now.
So, customer-wise, how far down the road are we? We got 10, 100, 50,000, 2,000?
I don't know that I would know that number offhand on how many directly related to round 1, round 2 that actually has been progressed or been put out there. I will tell you that either as a result or either directly or indirectly, that there is quite a bit that has been rolled out because of this coming up, some of which relates to that low-hanging fruit side of it. Because people knew they were going to lose. If they wasn't going to get it by the grant, they were going to get it the other way. And so some of that has been picked up because of that. We're seeing quite a bit of things starting to roll in several counties where it's done. Scott County wasn't directly by round 1 or round 2. It's the NTI Agri grant before that, previous to any money really being put into it heavily. But Scott County is really close to being, they're probably at 80% coverage now. When they started out, believe it or not, Georgetown was probably one of the few areas that had really good coverage. And I think that 2 miles out of there, the judge lived real close to that and didn't have service. So they're within they're at 80% now full coverage for their county roughly. That's what my estimate would be.
But they did that on their own, is that what you're telling me?
No, they did that through an NTIA grant, which essentially is, these grants that are rolling out with BEAD are all being controlled from that NTIA, same federal agency. It's been extremely slow. There's not been as much that you could attach directly to this. But round 1 and round 2, in my opinion, have dramatically changed the amount of coverage that's going to be in there. And with this last step with BEAD, I'll be honest, I have a very positive feel that we're going to have a 90+% coverage of the broadband.
I just get nervous that the time frame is not very defined.
Yes.
And, best of my recollection, and this could get way off, a few years back, didn't the state put a lot of money into getting broadband everywhere in the state, and they finally give up?
No, it was, a lot of people felt like it was broadband out to the entire state.
Well,
with
whatever
our
it was, it
Kentucky
wasn't.
Wire. Yeah, they took it where they said they were gonna take it, but it didn't get out. A lot of people looked at that as the last mile. That was actually a middle mile project. I was disappointed with where it did go. I would have loved to see it got out more into the rural area and have more impact on that. But really the plan, even though it was maybe it cost more than the funding was set aside for it, and a lot of other things we could talk critical about it, in the end they actually went where they said they were going to. Unfortunately, it just was kind of misguided that they were already in places where the broadband was already at. It increased the competition. I'm not saying it was a bad project.
Oh, I'm not
overall,
either, I don't know.
But I think
I know that
people
the general-
definitely didn't think they were getting what they got, what they end up with.
I said some here.
I'll agree with you.
I sat through some hearings that this General Assembly was disappointed in that project. I'm not speaking
Yeah.
for them, it sounded like it.
Yeah, I will agree with you that it sounded that way as well.
Squire Wisman, do you have another?
Yeah, well, Shane, a couple stats for us. You know, the last court committed $3 million to internet connectivity, and this court has not rescinded that yet. So just if the newspaper's potentially covering this, you know, we have some skin in the game ready to go effectively to make sure everyone gets covered. Our first round, I believe I have the number correct, that the plant board is expanding to 863 residential addresses. And another 1,100 are unserved at the current. I think it's like 1,101 or something like that, if I have those numbers right. So just to put that out. But I'm wondering, sort of financially, your thoughts on, you know, there were some communities that covered almost their entire county in round one, and put some contribution to it to make that happen. And my understanding, the BEAD program, the initial thought for it was to cover everyone else, to put the money toward it that couldn't get it, that was the low-hanging fruit, right? The easy things to get to pretty well seemingly got covered in the more metropolitan areas in the first round. And this round, is it still my understanding that the focus is really about that direct connectivity to every house that's remaining?
Yes.
And it's going to be heavily weighted on being able to serve all of those. If you're going into an area, it's not just going to be cherry picking the easiest ones to get to.
Absolutely. And that's my understanding as well, and that's the goal. That is the goal. And the state, you know, once again, I don't want to speak on behalf of the office by any means, but they have made it clear to me that that's what their goal is as well, is to get to every single one. You know, that's the broadband for all, essentially, is what we're looking for.
And let me follow up. Let me ask you, there was a component of this initially talking about those low-income areas where the connection would be directly to the house, and that there would be some assistance, potentially buying routers and even financial assistance for the billing. Is that at all part of the program now? I know it's been in part of the discussion with us, even about some of our financing potentially with the plant board in round one, but.
Not to my knowledge, I'm not aware of how detailed that goes into play on down to the routers and stuff for the individual buildings. I do know that in the 5-year, you know, plan document for broadband, that it supports initiatives like that, tries to encourage those.
So that may be a place for us to consider some funding to get everyone directly connected.
It may be another option or another area that you want to look at. And, you know, one of the things out there is there is additional funding. I'm not saying that ain't an area that you might want to look at going into. It's, once again, a little difficult when you don't know what's going to come out of this particular plan yet. But it might be something that you want to start looking at the groundwork of, you know, do you maybe invest in something like that a little bit as well, too. You might know more about that once you see what comes out, what's kind of expected, or don't say expected of you, or what people are asking of you as part of the other grant rollout and things of that nature. Then you might determine on whether you want to look at.
Shane, we thank you. Thirst of knowledge tonight.
Sorry I didn't, wasn't as clear and concise as I
Well,
should have been,
it's just-
but
no, I
I do appreciate, and I
Yeah.
want to say that on behalf of a rural citizen in Lincoln County, Kentucky, I appreciate the folks that are fighting for those areas that are out there that are small, rural, and they don't have access to Starlink and those things out there, because this sincerely might be our last good opportunity to get those out there for those folks.
deal.
And the area development district don't want to come back 10 years from now and be looking at those areas where 15, 20 people live that wasn't able to get it done. So,
All right,
thanks a lot.
Shane, thank you very much. Have a great evening. Yep.
Hey Shane, can I have a copy of that handout?
Yes.
Alrighty, next. Duke, you gonna come on up and give us an update on the road department, please?
Sir. Good evening, Court. I'd like to give y'all an update on what the crews have been doing last couple of weeks, as well as the road department project. Of course, you know, we had a windstorm, I think it was the 27th, and it's taken us a couple weeks to get caught up from that. Been running the grapple truck just about every day. We finally got pretty well caught up on that. Had to run the chipper truck about a week there along with the grapple, but we're in pretty good shape now, so. Got our mow trim out in District 4 right now.
You're doing a good job.
Yeah, they cleaned it up, looking good, yeah, I agree with you, Mike. And, we just started our leaf, pickup on the 14th. So we'll be doing that through, December 19th. Monday and Wednesdays, it's on the east side of town, and then, Thursday, Friday on the west. We got our new F-550 trucks in a little early. Got those on the 9th. Pretty good looking trucks, so. We finally got Mill Road done for that new hotel that's going in out there. May's got it paved yesterday, so it's completed and looks good. As far as the, I think Andrew's got some pictures of the progress done at the facility.
It's a good looking pole.
Yeah, I've got all the light poles in now, and, we were waiting on, well, there's our salt. We did get our salt delivery, last couple of weeks, 1,500 tons, so. I did have a picture that show you how big that
Small airplane
salt
hangar.
barn is. Had a triaxle dump truck in there dumping, and I don't know if Andrew's got the picture or not, but anyway, we've got all of our salt. Colston did get the paving completed for the most part, except for up around where they've got to rehab the old garage, so. We're waiting on the stairs to come in. They're supposed to be, they updated it on that today. It's supposed to be in the week of the 28th to install those. And then the floor, the week of the 4th. So November 4th, they'll be doing the epoxy on the floor. We're waiting on an electric panel right now. It's been ordered for about 8 months. It's kind of holding us up, so hopefully that'll be coming in. It's supposed to have been shipped for last Friday, but I'm not sure it was. It's coming together, just a little slow right now. They're laying tile, I think, in the bathrooms. Won't be as long as it has been.
All right, Squire Harrod.
I just want to comment on the road department project. Since being assigned to the road committee, we've worked through some construction trials and tribulations that we now have control of. I want to congratulate the court on building an exceptional complex that Franklin County should be proud of. It looks really nice down there. I would also like to thank Road Superintendent Duke Wilburn for staying abreast of the construction efforts and keeping the project on track. His time and effort are truly appreciated. Thank you.
Sir.
What other questions? Squire Wisman.
Just if, not questions, but could you comment on the collections this weekend? We've got waste tire, scrap metal, and
Yeah, that starts tomorrow from 7 to 3. Thursday and Friday, and then we'll be out there on Saturday from 8 to 12.
And that's
That's out at the state garage on 127.
that's for tires.
For tires, that's correct.
And then scrap metal and
The
hazardous
scrap
waste
metal
for
that'll be at the
Lakeview.
park, and the hazardous waste will be at the park, Lakeview.
What if, there was something about showing your license, I'm sorry, I couldn't find it, I was looking for it, to, if you're a county resident for the hazardous waste, I think, wasn't it?
I'm not real familiar
Squire, I think
with
it's
that,
usually
to
for
be
the
honest.
tires. They just want to make sure people aren't coming in from other
Yeah,
states.
I know
Well,
you
no,
have to
tires
for
could
the
be,
tire.
tires could be anybody, right? It could be other counties or,
Any cat.
Right, just as long as it's in the state.
Okay.
So I think when I talked to Ally about that, she said they've instructed her to look at license plates. If there's an out-of-state license plate, ask for an identification. But that's all I know of. Other than that, I think they just take it.
And I think the hazardous waste is just Saturday, is that correct?
I believe so.
Yeah.
It's up there.
I think so. Oh, yeah, there we go, perfect.
Squire Sebastian, did you ever hear? Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you.
No,
Oh,
I welcome everybody to come to the first district and take care of your tire problem, because I hate picking them up off the side of the road.
yeah. Squire Tanner.
Mistake.
I just want to back up what Squire Harrod said. I've been on the road committee, and there's been some up and downs out there, but it really looks nice out there now, and it's very, almost finished. That might, I don't, you can define what almost finished means, maybe, by the 4th of November, but it looks like a real asset to this county, really it is. It's needed this upgrade for years, and now it's got it. But the question I might have is, what about the skin on the building that's there now? Is that, where are we on that? You know, taking.
The existing garage,
Yeah, the old garage.
they won't be doing anything to that building until we get
Till you move.
temporary CO for the new garage.
Probably told me that last week. All right. That'd be about how long I can remember.
Yeah, and we were hoping for end of this month, but I don't think it's gonna happen. That electric panel we're waiting on's kinda slowed us down some, so.
What is our drop date for, it's December, isn't it, for
Yeah,
project
they-
completion?
Yeah, but I think first of the year, but I
Yeah,
think they're going
first
to
of the
be out of there probably end of November, it sounds like.
Let's hope.
Yeah. Squire Blackburn.
I've been down there, I've seen it, it's great. My question is, how do the guys working down there, how do you like it? How are things working out? How's the ergonomics of moving around and having equipment and all
Well,
that stuff?
it's been rough for, the last year, but it's coming together. It's gonna be well worth the headaches, so. And I think once we get in it, the guys, it's gonna be tickled.
Duke, I want to thank you and your team. You said something earlier about that windstorm. Y'all did a bang-up job, and you continue to. I also see the sheriff in our audience there. I want to thank him and the first responders, our local electric companies. I think Franklin County really came to and got everyone back. I think there were 6 trees on houses, but luckily no injuries. So we were very fortunate compared to a lot of other places in this country. So, but I appreciate everything you all did to keep everybody going.
So,
Alrighty, good deal. Thank you, sir. Alrighty, I'm gonna do my judge's report now. I think Andrew has some pictures up. First one was the firefighters memorial service. Never a good thing to have to attend, but I will say it's a beautiful ceremony. They do a fabulous job. Unfortunately, 11 names were added to the wall this year from people all over the state, but it was a very, very nice ceremony, and Lieutenant Governor Coleman spoke there also, so it was very nice. It was as good as it could have been, I guess you could say. And I was one of our firefighters there. I appreciate everything, supplying the trucks and hanging the flag as people drove in, so we should all be proud of that. Believe the next one, plant board, I had a plant board interview, and I took Ashley King, she's our new, I didn't know you had a picture of that. She's our new, coordinator in Commonwealth Attorney Max Comley's office, so she's what's that? County Attorney, what'd I say?
I think they're Cleveland will be getting a little.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's true. So, but she hit the ground running, and she's doing a great job, and Max could probably report a little bit on more of that at a different time, but I know she's working closely with ASAP and Max's office, so we appreciate that. Appreciate you all adding that position to our county government. Next, I had a Farm Bureau dinner. That was a nice dinner at the Extension office, and they talked about how they can be more involved in the community and different things like that, and what they stand for. So that was a nice occasion. Next one was a really big one. A lot of us were there at the breast cancer lunch, and I'm going to say thank you to our county clerk, Jeff Hancock. You know, this is a couple of years in running that he's done this. I know he lost his mother to breast cancer. There's 2 individuals there in the middle that we sponsored this year, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he raised about $20,000 for $10,000 apiece for those ladies. So I know all of the staff next door volunteered their time, and everybody cooked and provided a wonderful lunch there at the Carter House there at Lakeview Park. So very, very nice annual event now. So I appreciate Jeff for that. Next thing, I went to Whiskey Thief. I don't know if a lot of you know, at 151. I know Squire Sebastian was there. But Whiskey Thief has opened a tasting room in downtown Louisville. So I was fortunate enough to go up there and be part of it. So it's really cool. He said opportunity just kind of arose, and they talked about it jokingly, and then they said, let's do this. So it's always nice to see a local company expanding. That means they're doing well. So we should all be proud of that. We had road committee meeting. We went over a lot of things down at the road department. Duke's talked to us about. We have another company that went up to Louisville too, Locals Food Hub. I think most of y'all know Birch and Michelle. Started a great business here in downtown Frankfort, and now they've expanded into Louisville too. So my wife and I went up there the other night, and they had the soft opening. I believe the actual ribbon cutting is Friday night. So, but it's a really cool building in a cool part of town. So we wish them well and luck. So they're hard workers. We appreciate them. Did some weddings. I don't know, Jack, 4 or 5 weddings. It's been a bunch, but it's cool weddings. So those are always fun. Next, there's a wedding there. Yep. And then next, I know there's been a lot of talk about this next project. We approved the fence down at Benson Marina during our budget season. There's some of the gentlemen from Shuck Fence Company. So we had a lot of calls. There's a lot of chatter. Everybody's worried that we're going to close the gates at night and certain times of the day and things like that. But that's not the case. We as a court talked about that during the budget season. One, to make the property look nicer, but then also to help control things when there's a flood or something bad that happens down there. So we will have the ability in an emergency situation to lock it, but it's not going to be locked every day or anything like that. I know the other thing we had talked about was adding some more light down there. Greg has already talked to the plant board. I believe they have one light that they've maybe already added.
They already
I don't
have.
think there's even going to be additional costs. There's
They already
one,
added.
yeah. But now we're talking, Greg saw a big, down in that corner there, as you can see, if you look straight ahead, it seems like that's where we have a lot of people maybe doing things they shouldn't be doing. So he's going to go ahead and get a price to see what it would be to drop another pole there. So that's something we could potentially talk about at the court, but that's where that project is. Next one is a really cool one, and I know our sheriff is in the audience, like I said earlier, but Congressman Comer came to Franklin County, and he gave 3 congressional awards to Shane, Ron, and Chris. Can't say enough good things, and I can't remember the senator's name out of Nicholasville, I believe, right there next to Congressman Comer. What is it? Douglas, thank you, Squire. So a lot of good things were talked about that day, and we should be very proud. Again, Shane won a national award, and then Ron and Chris there won Sheriff of the Year and Deputy Sheriff of the Year. It's the first time in history that a county has won the top 2 awards. So, Sheriff, we're very proud of you guys, and I know we've told you that before, but that's an exceptional thing. I mean, every time it comes up, I just think about how good of a job you guys are doing here in Franklin County, so we thank you. Next and last, I'm going to throw this one up, and I'm probably going to turn it over to Squire Sebastian, even though I didn't tell you we're going to throw this up. But this is a big deal. I think most of us go every year. It's a huge thing for our community, and I know Squire Sebastian is on the committee that puts this on. So would you like to talk a little bit about it?
Sure, thank you, Judge. So on October 30th at the Thornhill Education Center, Thornhill Education Center is partnering with the Wanda Joyce Robinson Foundation to bring us the 4th annual Friendsgiving. So it's an opportunity for individuals to get together. Local businesses provide, and restaurants provide the food, And the food and the event is free to everyone in Franklin County. They do accept sponsorships for the event, starting at $100. They do, at the door, will accept, a donation if you want to come in and eat. They will also accept non-perishable food, and that will be given to the Capital City Activity Center, Meals on Wheels, to stock their food pantry. And one of the special events this year is to recognize someone whose shoulders this community stands on, former Representative Gippy Graham, former Mayor of Frankfort, former educator, former coach.
Former a lot of things, yeah.
Former so many things. And it is a wonderful opportunity for an alumnus of Thornhill who started community education when he was at the Kentucky Department of Education to come back home and be recognized here for all that he's done and given.
Awesome.
So it's a really great thing. So
Yep.
can't thank enough about what Thornhill has done so far. Wanda Joyce Robinson, certainly in getting all this started. The Frankfort Chamber was at the table the first 3 years. And so it's just a wonderful community
Yeah,
activity,
it is.
an event that is free to and open to everyone. So please come out between 11 and 1.
Perfect.
Everyone is welcome.
All righty. Thank you, Squire.
Thanks,
And with
Judge.
that, that's my judge's report. So we're going to go ahead and jump down. Any questions on the minutes from September 25 meeting?
Judge, could I make just a comment on the Benson Marina? I'm excited that we're moving forward with that. That was a security concern as much as anything about when that area floods.
Yep.
That we had potential for people to get in there and be caught in flood water, so that I think that's going to take care of that. So happy to do that, and I've been constantly called by neighbors addressing concerns of activities in that area that are less than desirable, fires and other things that have been set, so hopefully we'll be able to manage that better. But I have been in touch with, or have reached out to Fish and Wildlife, that I hope we can post a sign about permissible activities and what is supposed to happen there, because that is a partnership with Fish and Wildlife that created that access point for us in the first place. So it's just about managing a county asset better for the benefit of everybody, so.
Perfect. All righty. Thank you, Squire. No questions on the minutes. We're going to jump down to Sheriff Squire. How you doing tonight?
Great, good evening. We're just surplusing this Camaro that's actually used for our traffic car. We've had it since September last year. It's been ran hard, broke down a lot. We're actually putting an engine in it right now under the warranty.
Really?
So as soon as it gets done, I've already worked out a deal where we're gonna get a Durango for it. So
Okay.
I like to buy cheap and sell high, and we drove that car a year and it's time for it to go.
Amen. All righty. Any questions from the sheriff on this? We
19.
appreciate the way you manage your fleet. Thank you. Yep. All righty, next, I believe we have some auditor's report. I don't believe I see David Harrod in the audience, so I believe there's no findings on both of these reports. What? David didn't do it?
No.
Who did these? I thought.
Rick Waddle, CPA.
Oh, I apologize. Yeah.
So I don't know,
Go ahead, Squire.
I apologize, Judge.
You're fine, thank you.
Thank you for calling on me. In looking at the audits, I see the financial cash position of Elkhorn Water District for '22 was $272,869, and for 2023 it had gone up $311,422. But for Peaks Mill, cash equivalents seem to be going in the opposite direction. A little over 700,000 in 2022, now barely at 500,000. So that's a decrease in cash of almost $250,000.
Yep.
In 1 year. So we know Peaks Mill has an aging water system and has not had, I guess, an influx of new customers to assist, because that's what it all takes, is new customers. So I guess really as such, it's been a running discussion about whether they're going to run out of money next year. And then they've talked in the past about having 3 options since 2022 for the district: water rate increase, acquisition by some interested water provider, or to do nothing at all. So do we know, have we been apprised as a court, even though the only thing that we do as a court is approve board members?
Yep.
However, it is incumbent upon us for the protections of persons and properties. They are a standalone governmental entity, and they do their own thing. But have we been apprised as a court what Peaks Mill's position is and how they plan to move forward? Do we know? Because
I know
I haven't.
I've been to several
I've been
meetings
to
with
some
Not as a
meetings.
court, we've been to meetings, but yeah, I
But
think that's
they-
I've
it.
been to some
Yeah.
meetings and
I went
haven't.
to the town hall meeting and Kentucky American Water showed up. There wasn't much interest by the citizens to take Kentucky American Water on. They want to keep their own water company. They've had a lot of repairs, I mean, a ton of repairs because of the aging infrastructure out that way. GLIC, we got some grant information. I relayed it to them. They've applied for the grant. Haven't heard whether they've got it awarded yet. But as far as what direction they're heading in, no, I can't say that as a member of the court, I've been told anything.
Well, in order to finish where I was going
Yeah.
with this, this court provided $100,000 to each of the local rural water districts, okay, serving Franklin County. So the court does have some interest in ensuring that customers are being served with clean drinking water. And so that, the financial situation that they're in, it wasn't something that was created overnight, and it shouldn't be laid at the feet of the loyal customers who do take care of their bills to make sure that they continue to get water.
Yeah.
So just for us to have an awareness,
Yeah.
rather than, and I don't even serve this area,
Yep.
but I get some phone calls from
Yeah.
people who are out there, as we probably all do, saying, where do things stand?
I know
Because
they-
they're concerned.
Yeah, they've hired a consultant, they have been good about having, open houses
Mr.
and town
Heisman,
halls.
yes.
Yeah, Mr. Heisman, thank you.
Yeah.
I do know the biggest problem out there is, years ago, when a lot of those lines went in, they required them to be 6-inch because of fire suppression, so a lot of the water sits in the pipe.
They will tell you they don't have anything to do with fire suppression, Judge.
Yeah, well, I'm just telling you what
Mr.
they've.
Parrott?
Yeah,
They will tell you that.
Yeah.
I
They
know
will
that.
tell you that.
yeah.
They are very clear about telling
Yeah.
you that it's not laid at the feet of fire suppression.
Yep, so, there's a lot of water sitting, I know they have a lot of leaks, but no, you're right, they are hemorrhaging money. I do know at one point Kentucky American gave them a bid, it was a pretty good bid. They looked at raising rates, and then at the same time, Kentucky American Water went back to the PSC to raise their rates again. So I know there's been kind of a little juggle there. I believe they've been approved to raise rates locally,
Yeah.
right? That's the last I heard at a
Yes.
meeting. But other than that, I don't know where it is. I think we're all kind of on the same page. So,
The
Yeah.
only reason I bring it up is because the court has some skin in
Yeah.
the game from providing $100,000, not only to them, but
Yeah.
to the others.
Yeah.
But certainly to them, because they are at the crux of,
yeah,
they're at a precipice of where they have to do
Yeah.
something.
yeah.
So I'm just concerned about
Do
that.
you want
for
me to ask
folks
him to
who
come
live
give us
out
an update of the court?
there. It would be really
Okay.
nice, Judge.
We can do it.
You know, again, it's
No.
not my area, and I'm not
I'm
trying to
totally
step
fine
on,
with, I'm fine with that.
but I'm,
No, I think that's good. Perfect. Yep, thank you.
thank you.
Judge, could I, while it's related, since this was brought up, there was a report to us that there was some difficulty getting in touch with North Shelby Water for the $100,000 award that was given to them. Just want to report back to the court that was provided. Our grant administrator got in touch with them, and the project that was defined within the scope of that is going to bid. It's being drafted now and should be out to bid right away, and that is replacing a water filling station at the fire department in Bald Knob that a lot of folks use for agricultural purposes and residential out there, so that should be replaced by spring. And then expanding water service to, I think it's 5 residential houses at Benson that are not served at all right now, so happy that that's moving forward. So that $100,000 to North Benson is going to good use.
North Shelby.
Sorry, North Shelby, sorry, yeah.
All good, thank you.
I just kind of want to follow up just very briefly on what Squire Sebastian said, which is true. They're independent agencies which the fiscal court has absolutely no control over how they operate their business. Now, we can ask them to come in here, but I don't know for sure we can even actually tell them to come in here.
No.
He just said he was going to ask. That's all he said.
Okay.
He was going to ask.
I'm gonna ask the gentleman that they've hired to be a
I'm sure they'll
consultant
come,
for
but
them.
I just
Yeah,
want
so,
to make
yep.
sure everybody.
No, you're absolutely right. It's that fine line, they are an arm of the government, but they're not our government, so. Alrighty. All right, next one is about the zone change out there on Twilight Trail. Let me This is in Squire Sebastian's, oh, Tina's got it. Go ahead,
Good
Tina.
evening. Yes. So this is the second reading and approval for an ordinance amending the table of special ordinances, Section 1, zoning map changes of the Franklin County Code of Ordinances for a 0.34 acre tract located at 1501 through 1507 Twilight Trail from industrial commercial IC to rural limited commercial CL district. The property is described in deed book 588, page 138, in the office of the Franklin County Clerk, and further identified as PBA map number 050-00-00-089.18.
All right, this is where we start tiptoeing right there. Mr. Max. Is there any, I guess we can talk about it, so any thoughts on this? I know we had first reading last court meeting.
Judge, you typically ask if anyone has called, so I'll go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's what I was saying, it was in
Thank
your
you.
district, yeah.
Have had no calls in opposition to this zone
Okay.
change.
Perfect, thank you for sharing that information. Tina,
Yes.
you're good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty, next I believe Mr. Duke's back up. Can't stay away from us tonight, can you?
No.
Yeah.
We're just, asking the court to authorize us to advertise for sealed bids to outfit the, 2 new trucks, with beds and snow equipment.
Squire Wisman.
Could you define a little bit better for me just what the scope of that equipment is for, I just want to make myself some notes on.
It'd be dump beds for the trucks, snow plows, tailgate spreaders, and whatever equipment has to be installed with operation of all that.
Especially lighting,
I'm sorry?
lighting,
Yes, sir.
anything else?
Squire Sebastian.
No, thank you, Judge. Just wanted to ask the road supervisor, any ballpark kind of on the cost for that? I know it indicates in our packet that LGEA funding is going to be available to cover that, which is great. I just didn't know if we had a ballpark per.
We got a guesstimate,
Okay.
back last year of, I believe it was 45,000 a truck.
Per truck, okay.
And
I don't know if any of that's, increased,
Absolutely.
But we had that in the budget, right?
Yes, sir.
It was in the LGE line item.
Yeah.
I just could
Yeah.
not remember, because it was discussed.
I think it was in there as one lump sum. I remember seeing 90 grand. I think you're
I
right.
could not remember the amount.
Yeah, I'm gonna nod from our treasurer in the audience. Yes, 90 was the number.
90 was the number?
90 was the number.
Okay,
Squire
great, thank
Tanner.
you.
All right, I have a question for Duke. Just for my information mostly, what's the tonnage capacity of a 550?
I don't have the answer to that.
It's a little over a ton.
Ton and a half
Yeah,
trucks.
ton and a half.
Is it a ton and a half
Yeah.
or 2 tons?
Ton and a
4,000
No, it's a ton and a
pounds?
half.
Yeah, it should be around a ton and a half.
650 goes to a 2 ton.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was encouraging that we got them early. You know, I know the
It was.
fire department, Chief was happy to hear that too, because I know he has some on order. He said, maybe I'll get mine early too. That's a great thing. Yeah, Duke called me, I thought it was Christmas. He said, you're not gonna believe it. Alrighty, we good on that? Let's roll to the next
No,
one.
Judge,
Oh.
do we, part of the outfitting, I was wondering about, do we ever keep specialty studded tires or chain systems or something? Or is
No,
that something
sir,
we need to consider as part of that too?
We don't anymore. I mean, we used to, I think, years ago, we had chains for most of the trucks.
It's predicted to be a cold and wet winter, so I'm expecting ice, right? So I'm thinking we should get ready.
Yeah, but they do their job so well, they don't need chains now. Go ahead, Duke, just give yourself a little boost there.
I don't want to jinx myself.
I wanna allocate what we need.
Yeah, it sure has.
Well, the same fire department runs them every winter, so I mean,
Yeah.
but
On demand.
different
chain.
situations.
Yeah. All right.
You're creating on
All right, Duke, this is the next one. This is a good one. This means we're getting near the end of a project is what I mean.
Yeah, we're just asking for the court to set aside to approve some money, some funds for various equipment and tools. And I think you have a list maybe in front of you of the things we're asking for. Just to make this facility operational to do what Franklin County's want.
Squire Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. This is probably just for the treasurer to make sure that that almost $250,000, that's in the encumbrance, right, in 97? In Fund 97?
Yes.
It's in there. I just want to make sure the court understands that it's already encumbered.
Yeah.
Yes, it's already encumbered and part of Fund 97. All right, thank you.
Squire Harrod.
And I just wanted to comment, it was lower than this, but after we talked about things, you know, you forget things come up. And if the money's not spent, it goes right back into the fund, so it's not like we're gonna spend $225 just to spend it.
Squire Wisman.
Judge, I'm just wondering if we can elaborate a little bit on the process for acquisition of these things. You know, some of these windows, I don't know exactly what that is.
Those are
we-
for the old garage.
Okay.
And it's not it wasn't in the contract to have new windows installed. And those windows that's in it were,
I bet they're in the
when they built the
50s.
building, single pane.
Yeah, they're old.
I mean,
And we can do it cheaper than
Yes,
having it
we'll
done, that's
purchase
why
the
we're.
windows and install them ourselves.
If that.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering maybe a little bit about process for acquisition here. That's kind of a large open check. What is the intent to have a bid process on some of these things? We've sort of nickeled and dimed a generator to death at the last meeting for the fire department, and, you know, I don't have any specs to kind of know our acquisition process for
Well,
how
I've
this is
gotten
gonna work.
bids on several of these
Already?
things.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So it's, you know,
I think what Duke knows he needs to bid, he's gonna bid, and then what his guys know they need for the shop. I mean, only they're gonna know what they need in their shop, so I think this is pretty standard when you get to this part of a project.
The committee, Harriet, myself and you and others, and Duke, went over all these at our meeting the other day, and some of them are very, kind of broad and on this, not very explained, but for example, a generator
Yeah,
runs the
it's-
whole internet service for this whole county. It goes through the basement of the building there, and that generator is gonna be hooked up to natural gas and self-starting and much
Correct.
needed to keep, and it's probably one of the most expensive things on there. But it also has to work, because it runs all the internets. If the power goes out, they all
yeah,
go
right
through
now
there.
we're using portable generator. Power goes out, someone has to come in and runs, you know.
So this would be
portable
much
generator.
better to keep everybody live going if it, and it's not
Absolutely.
just the road department. Then
No, it runs the jail and
they come, you know, all those things are pretty important on there. We went through it, and those concrete blocks are not exactly what you think either. They're for separation of materials out there on the,
Bins.
They're like the 2x4 block, the big ones, yeah.
when
we
you first
just
look at
came
that.
up with,
Well, but if you remember, there were some things during the construction, during the design process, like the bins, that you said, our guys can do that.
Right.
You know, and I think the windows in that original shop was kind of just, we
The
can do that.
The forklift, I think we're looking for a used one.
yes, sir.
We're
Used
not talking about a
propane
new
forklift.
forklift here. That money wouldn't touch a new one.
Yep.
So we're trying to, and that, we're wondering about getting that to the specs, purchase specs in our administrative code. We may have to suspend the rules or something to get that done. And then, is any other things on there? We went over every one of them including the shelving, which is
Right.
commercial,
Yeah, commercial style shelving for parts.
I could say something about the ice machine. You can't mix a good drink without ice.
It's up on that second mezzanine. Yeah.
But
Squire Wisman.
that's good information. You know, what page I have here, and I'm trying just to do my diligence as an elected official. Appliances could mean one refrigerator or a whole kitchen, and a forklift has no explanation, and a generator could be a small inverter, 1,500 watt, or enough to power apparently our entire internet service for the county. So I just want to, my comment is just to make sure that we are conducting appropriate bidding processes to allow.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
You know, and to vet those thoroughly so that everyone can see them, including us. So I trust
Yep.
Duke to manage what he needs.
Yep.
But
Thank you.
thanks.
Duke, thank you, buddy. Have a good night. Alrighty, next, I believe Ashley, our HR, is here. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm good, I'm good. So I kind of bundled abstracts together, so we've got 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3, you probably saw that in your packet. We'll also have a presentation for you from Jamie Bennett with BIM Group, but I'm gonna kind of give you kind of the 10,000-foot view, and then he'll go into the details with you. So just, we'll go right out of the gate. We are having an increase this year as anticipated. Our very, very, very good treasurer budgeted us at 20% increase in premiums, and we came in at 9.9. So that's actually really, really good. We're really pleased with that. Doing a couple different things. One of the things that I wanted to do that has a lot of success out there in the market with various employers, including small employers, is a high deductible health plan. The reason I wanted to do that is because your high deductible health plan can help offset increasing premium amounts, and it's forecasted that that's the direction that we're headed over the next couple years. So I wanted to kind of try to roll this out this year to kind of get everybody's feet wet. There's a huge educational component because where it's a high deductible plan, it's lower premiums, right? So people want to kind of grab at that and say, oh, it's cheaper. But they have to understand it's really about consumerism. It's pushing health care on the consumer. So it's going to Kroger, and instead of buying the Captain Crunch, General Mills, name brand cereal, you might choose to buy the Kroger brand. And it's really about pushing employees and people who are seeking insurance benefits to really kind of shop around and find that lower cost health care, just like we do with everything else in the world. So you're paying that lower premium up front, but then you have that high deductible plan if you have medical needs. So one of the benefits of that I really like is it helps to accommodate different healthcare needs, right? So some of us consume a lot of healthcare up front, and that's where that PPO plan, which is what we've always had, comes in handy. And some of us may not use it as much, so we may want to pay that lower premium and set money aside. So I'm going to stop there because I know it's a lot to digest. Jamie's the expert on all of that, and he can get into the details with you for that. So as part of the renewal, just in summary, we're looking at that 9.9% rate increase. We're looking at adding that high deductible plan, okay? Part of that high deductible plan is a health savings account. And what that is it helps the employee kind of get started with a little bucket of money, okay? So if they do have an immediate medical expense, they've got some money set aside to help cover that expense. The other component, this is not a change. Right now we have the medical waiver program, which for some of our employees who have established affordable quality health care elsewhere, maybe that's through a spouse, a different plan, we give them a waiver amount per month, $230-ish per month. And they can use that for qualified medical expenses. So that amount is not changing, and I do want to direct your attention. In the abstract, it says that it's increasing, so I want to clarify with you, it's not. It's the same flat amount that we've been doing since 2011. Actually, I researched and found out today. So I'm gonna stop there, because I know I just threw a lot at you. Questions for me, or yes?
I've already heard it, Ashley, from some of our concerned employees. This is not an attempt to change or force our employees in any way into a higher
It's an option.
change. It is an option for, say, a young, healthy spouse employees have to contribute 35% to, right, that may not use healthcare as much
That's a good
because they're
example.
fairly healthy. And instead, they are able to get a cheaper payment and have a health savings account to meet that higher cost if they want to. But this is another option being added on. In no way,
Right.
or personally, it's in no way an
No.
opinion to force our employees into a different costing system that in any way saves the court money.
Nope.
That's not the intent at all, or at
Yeah.
least not my intent.
No, it's not. It's strictly about providing options. And, I mean, healthy or not, some people just really like the tax benefits of it. Some people just want to have more control over how they use that money. And then, with that savings account too, because it's different than a flexible savings account, right? And it's different than the reimbursement account that we provide for the waivers. And Jamie, I'm probably going too far, Jim, I'm stealing his thunder here, but with an HSA, it's portable. You can roll it over, and you can even turn it into an IRA down the road. So it can even be considered a separate retirement account,
Multiple tax
actually.
benefits,
Yeah. So it is an option. It's an option.
And let me ask you, in addition, we had another carrier decline to quote insurance. There's only really one other carrier that we could have went to. So we had discussion previously in the year, this court, about going out to bid and looking at our options and what those prices may be. Can you just name that carrier that declined to provide insurance? Or declined to provide
It's
a...
in the-
Well, it's in the, yeah, I just now thought about that. It's in the PowerPoint presentation. Yeah, it's, so it's Anthem. And they couldn't match the price.
Okay.
So,
So
yeah.
I've heard some rumblings over the last year since we transitioned to United. Some of our employees are not as happy with it as the previous insurance that they had, right? So I just wanted to put that out, that this is the reason that we're going in this direction, so it's very clear and to combat any rumors. So.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that too, just very briefly, insurance companies definitely take into account when you're moving around to different companies frequently or year after year, and we did just make we just got off a 18-month contract with United Healthcare, and so, you do want to show kind of that longevity with a carrier. And so I do think personally that, and Jamie can speak to this, that that's potentially what helped us with our renewal rate. And I do want to commend our treasurer, Amy, too, because like I said, she budgeted 20%, which is what the market, is reflecting. She did a very good job, and we came in under, so we really like that.
Alrighty, let's get Mr. Jamie
Turn the
Bennett
show
up.
over.
Do your thing. Oh, I'm sorry, Squire Tanner,
Did this go through a committee?
Yes.
Yes,
Which one?
Admin service.
admin services.
Yep, so Squire Dykes, Squire
I said
Sebastian,
that
myself,
Friday,
Rob.
you were
No?
inserted
What is it?
or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He was off for his head.
Oh, that's what it was, that's what it was, okay.
I was having a
He
medical
had surgery,
emergency.
okay.
surgery,
That's what it was, okay.
All right.
Hey, good evening, Jamie, how are you?
I'm doing well. Great to see everyone again. Squire Tanner, have you met your max out of pocket this year?
Pardon?
You said you had surgery on your hand?
Corporal tunnel, that was that day.
Okay. You had surgery
Well, they called it surgery, but they just stick a thing in your thing.
and then
It's
send
all
you a bill,
microscopic, it just took me all day.
and then send you a big bill,
Okay.
right? Okay.
No, it really helped me sleep much, much better.
Good.
No pain at night.
Good. I had my first new body part put in this year, and it's made a big change in how I feel and get around. I'm now bionic. So I do want to give some kudos to Ashley. Your initial rate we got from United Healthcare was 13.9%. We went back to them and said, we need you to get to single digits. Okay? So the insurance company, being the insurance company, gave us 9.9%, and that's where we are. But I will share with you, as far as forecasting, I don't have a crystal ball, but there are a couple of things going on within the employee population that are what we would classify as ongoing or chronic. Those kinds of things are what drive rates up. The one-time hit where you you climbed up on a ladder in your garage to change a light bulb and you fell and, broke your ankle. Those kind of get pushed aside because, you can't forecast that. But you do have a couple of things going on within the county that you need to be aware of. And again, we don't want to discuss any individual or any person, but I do want to let you know, we need to monitor your medical loss ratios pretty closely over the next several months. As you get near budget time, I don't want you to be sitting here January 1 of 2026 and delivering you a 50% rate increase without you having some idea that that's where we're going. I will tell you, you would not have a 13.9% rate increase or a 9.9% rate increase if Ashley didn't prod me to get it early. There's a lag time between reporting and receiving medical loss ratios. Had I done as normal and just waited till they normally come out, which is in October, you wouldn't be looking at a 13.9% rate increase. We'd be looking at probably up over 25 or 30% rate increase. That's why Anthem came back and said they could not be competitive with the 9.9 that you had on the table. Does that make sense? Okay. We got a slide show, maybe?
Andrew, you got slides up, buddy?
Slide deck?
Yep, there it is.
Okay. I'll try to take you through this pretty quickly. I know it's going to be a long night for you, and you don't necessarily want to know how the watch works, but you do need to know what time it is. So, next one. Medical renewal results initiatives for 2025. Squire Wisman, we do want to make an HSA plan option available, which is paired with a high deductible health plan. And when you hear the word high deductible health plan, you go, Well, there is some of that's out there. There is some risk, but you do have a segment of the population that might go to the doctor once a year for a checkup, and that's it. This is going to appeal to them. The key to this whole having a dual option, the key is going to be in our ability to communicate to the employee how it works, what your risks are, what you personally, as she talked about consumerism, it's going to require some personal responsibility on the part of the employees to call their pharmacy, go to their pharmacy when they're picking something up, talk to their doctor, because you do have a high deductible that also applies to prescription benefits. So if you're on a prescription that's a couple $100 a month or even a couple thousand, right now you're paying maybe $40 or $50 for it. Under a high deductible health plan, you're going to have to pay whatever it costs until you hit that deductible. So it's not for everyone, but it is for a good segment of your population to at least explore. But they have to take some personal responsibility, and that is do their research. Find out what your drugs that you are taking, if any, are actually, what's the cost? Okay. I don't want to get in, next slide, please.
But there could be some fairly significant tax benefits if people choose that.
Oh, absolutely.
And if you, I wanted to ask specifically, if you chose that option and health circumstances changed, the next enrollment period, I would imagine would switch back to a lower deductible.
Once you're in, you're in for a year. But, and we'll go a little further as I try to help you all get your head around HSAs. The HSA can, let's wait a minute if you don't mind, Squire, but we'll get to that. We've got a 9.9% rate increase based on the current PPO plan design. Nothing changes for the employees that elect to stay with that option. Nada, nothing. Okay? Anthem, I've got the letter in there, but that basically, I hope I've done a decent job of explaining why they couldn't get close is because we got the renewal from United Healthcare, then we got a new set of medical loss ratios over the last 12 months, and the picture changed.
Jane, can I just point of clarification? When you're saying nothing changes for the employees that are staying on the PPO, you're meaning co-pays, deductibles?
Plan design,
Right.
not cost, but plan design.
But paycheck deductions increase.
Yes, but not significantly.
But related to that, there's no changes in medical services, excluding medications?
None.
anything?
None. Same network, same, and again, yes, as we did move from Humana to United Healthcare 18 months ago, there was some fallout, but I will tell you, whenever you change companies, there's going to be some disruption because their networks aren't the same, their formularies aren't the same, the way they treat one prescription is not the way they treat another. So I do think some of that was early on. We had some issues with a program called Cash Care, which is there to help people with their co-pays and whatnot when they go to the physician. I think for the most part, all of that, at least my phone has quit ringing. So I think some of that has settled down. The Guardian Dental, the Guardian Vision, the basic life insurance that we provide for the employees, that is, we've got another year on a rate guarantee, no change. The same amount for the HRA benefits, and I do want to make sure that we understand that the HRAs are something, think of it as a promise to pay between the court and the employee. If you have the expense and you pay it and you file for reimbursement, you get it. Many of these employees are having 234 set aside on paper, but they never file. Or they finally retire, or they use part of it. But it's not money that's gone, okay? Everyone with me? Next slide, please. Man, you're gonna have to blow that up.
I'm not sure we're gonna be able to do that all the time, but,
Okay. What that is showing is your current plan as it is now. There you go. There's your current. There was the first renewal of 13 point something. Go down a little bit, Andrew, if you can. A little more. 13.9. So we got them to go from 13.9 to 9.9. Okay. Those rates will be for an identical plan to what they have now. If you go over to the next slide, just slide it a little bit. Okay. That is the high deductible health plan. Everybody see that? You've got I'm sorry, that's the negotiated rule of 9.9. Go to the next page.
is this what you're looking for, Jamie?
Yes,
Okay.
the renewal alternatives. We're going to skip over the letter I got saying they declined to quote. But if you look at the next page on the far right, you're going to see the high deductible health plan. And you see that rather having a $1,000 calendar year deductible per individual, you have a $3,000 deductible that, again, it affects everything. Prescriptions, doctor's visits, the whole bit. That rate comes in substantially lower. You know, $358 versus $454. Okay, so $100 a month, $1,200 a year. Well, what can be better about that? If you'll go to the next page, that little column that's added over on the bottom right, we're proposing through integrating the high deductible health plan with the HSA. I'm sorry, this is alphabet soup, you all, I really am, but in order to make it work, the county is going to contribute, instead of paying it in an insurance premium to United Healthcare on those individuals that really don't have a big need for health care, they're not large consumers of health care, they are going to get $100 or $1,200 annually put into their HSA. The HSA is owned by the employee. Should they leave, they take it with them. Should they retire, they take it with them. And the funding of that HSA can be twofold. You can commingle employer contribution, and what we're going to have to do a good job is educate the employees that, okay, the county is setting aside $100 a month going into your HSA, but you might want to think about contributing an additional $100 a month because you're saving it in premium. Everybody following me? Okay? That you own. It's yours. And again, it is convertible to a Roth at age 65. I think it's a good addition to your benefit package here. There is no one-size-fits-all with health care. And the more options that we can provide, I think the better off we are. The key, again, is going to be educating the employees so they make an informed decision on what's best for them and what's best for their dependents, if any. Any questions on HSAs? Okay. The next page shows you what we are throwing out for consideration, not necessarily for a recommendation, but letting you know that you do have the ability, if you look at the difference between a family plan and a traditional PPO and a family plan in the HSA, if you continued with your 60% of employee spouse, 60% of children, 60% of family, the contributions to the HSA would be higher. Our recommendation is, before you jump in with both feet, you say we're going to contribute $1,200 to any employee, whether they're on family coverage or employee spouse or individual. Let's don't jump in water over our head, in the deep end first. Let's start out waiting, okay? But again, I want you to know we do have the ability to commingle funds. It is $100. The actual, that's the difference between the premium of the PPO and the premium of the high deductible health plan. We're making that, rounding it up to 100. Questions? Everybody good? All right, let's go to implementation strategy. One of the things we'd like to introduce to the court this year is Airbow. It is a social media spinoff that is a communication tool that we can use for open enrollment. You can use it for new hires. You can use it for having virtual health fairs, employee assistance program, company updates, and wellness initiatives. Again, it's something that will be at the fingertips of Ashley to be able to say, okay, I want to do something on wellness, or I want to do something on doing a health fair, and letting them know what other voluntary options are out here. But it is something that we've had great success with. You could even set it up where you used it as a tool for you to communicate with employees. If you wanted to go that deep, you could just send something out and say, Richard Tanner's turning 50 this week. Yeah, or close, yeah. But again, there are a lot of spin-off uses on this, and again, it's something that we do recommend that you add to your platform. I think it's also part of Ashley's desire to get away from paper and do a little more electronically than we have been doing. Next slide, please.
Let me ask there, Ashley, specifically, we talked about something to communicate with employees, like the enrollment for those care cash cards. That was such a hurdle. One, could we use it for that purpose, and are we going to have those care cash cards in addition, or are those anyone that's coming in new,
So
new
the
hire or
care
anything
cash
otherwise?
cards will not be attached to the high deductible plan.
Okay.
So Airbo is, it is a communication tool. It's not something that we're proposing here tonight or asking that we spend money on. We just kind of want to get you thinking about it. It's almost like that, like Jamie was saying, that short attention span, social media brain. It's designed with tiles. And so if I wanted to put something out that says, hey, open enrollment is in a week, and hey, go read this, here's your benefit booklet, or hey, you know, whatever. So it's a great educational tool, to your point. So we don't have it yet. I would like to, and would just like for you all to kind of be thinking about it and maybe do a little homework on your own, because it can be used for other things.
For those Gen X and down, it's a wonderful tool.
Did I answer your questions
Yeah,
prior? I think I went off.
No, you got it right, but I think it's probably a pertinent thing that we need to think about. So many people are doing everything on their phones, and transitioning from the thing that's in your hand from one app to go to your healthcare app.
Absolutely.
And do what you need right there without having to transfer from a piece of paper or a laptop computer. You get more buy-in. I think it's the way of the future, and I think we need to seriously consider doing it right away.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree.
Would you even be able, like when you're doing the reimbursement, would you even be able to do something like get your receipt of services and then just automatically send it through that app?
Upload them possibly to whoever.
Because that can be a problem, I mean, that can be a pain for folks too.
I think that there are some uploading features. That's definitely something. I did have a demo. I went through a demo with the company just to kind of see what it was about. We didn't get that far into it, but there is an
Because people with an HRA,
Yeah.
it would be great.
Yeah, there is an ability for two-way conversation. And again, I think I've kind of alluded to this in the past. There's still some components to our payroll system that we're not using that I really, Judge has really tasked me with that I need to really kind of take on. And this is a really good opportunity to kind of expedite that, just again, to get away from paper and make sure that we're really educating employees on really great things like this and the risks as well.
The participants in the high deductible health plan will also get a debit card from our vendor who will be administering that program that they can use for their co-pays, they can use for, prescriptions. So it's not like they're going to be out there owing $4,000 and that they get a cold and they need to get an antibiotic. It doesn't mean they're going to have to pay for it and submit it. They're going to have a call. Any other questions that the court has? I will tell you, we do need to, over the next 4 or 5 months, monitor closely what our loss ratios are looking like, so we know what to expect, and it's actually going to be hitting then January 1 of 2026. Does that make sense? Okay, that you'll be budgeting for in July. Answer any questions anybody else have?
I just want to say we appreciate you and the BIM group and Ashley too for getting on this and getting us this information. I know it's been a lot, but I think at the end of the day, you know, and I think Ashley said it well too, and you did too, you know, just, we're basically adding another option. Other than that, most
Choices.
everything's kind of staying the same, and
Choices.
Squire Blackburn.
Choices.
Yeah.
Jamie, you said to monitor that, our cost ratio.
Yes.
Do we have the means in which to do that?
We're sending monthly reports right now to both Ashley and Amy.
So we want to make Amy gets that to make sure when she can predict or
Yes, absolutely.
kind of budget. Okay.
Yeah, she's getting those monthly reports right now, and we have, you know, analysts in the office that start looking at it and say, uh-oh, what's this spike?
Right.
Yeah, so.
And I'll add too, just, you know, we're not self-funded for our health insurance. And so, you know, we don't at this time have a real good hand into trying to help control some of those costs. But it is good to be aware of them, like you said, to know what's coming down the pipe. But, you know, on a self-funded plan, that's really where you look and see, okay, we have a concentration of different needs, and okay, let's have a real robust wellness program to try to help everybody save money. So monitoring cost at this point is just to be on the lookout to see what's coming down for 25, 26.
Ashley is 100% correct. The amount of reporting that we get in a fully insured environment, which is what we're doing, we're not accepting a great deal of risk other than the risk of rate increases. But again, I think both Ashley and Amy are both very much aware of how we got where we are and maybe where we're going to go over the next 6-8 months so we can make some good budget predictions.
We've had a good run with no rate increases.
Yeah, we've had a very good run. I did some benchmarking for Ashley, and you compare us to other counties around in central Kentucky of like size, we're doing very, very well, and they all would change places with us in a heartbeat.
And I think it's important to remember, I mean, the healthcare in North America has changed. I mean, there's no providers. I mean, the only reason we changed this last time is because our provider said we're not doing it anymore. So there's been a lot of things thrown at us that there's nothing we can do. So I still feel good as far as what we're giving to our county employees.
And we had a 4 or 5 year run with Humana that was very good, and they were very fair with us. It was out of left field that they said, okay, we're getting out of the marketplace. And in case you're not, I know Squire Tanner and I have had this conversation. I think Sherry and I have had this conversation, but if you're not concerned about the cost of health care and health insurance in America right now, you need to be. You need to be. Something's got to give. Okay?
Well, I think that starts quite a bit right here, local governments pushing the initiatives to our state and beyond to make changes. So can I ask, is there maybe, you know, I've been on this court for 2 years and I haven't seen any reports. We've just had 2 renewals that have been through. Is there maybe a best practice every 4 months we could get a little bit of an analysis of where our position is to other counties and make that a common practice to come before the full court to review?
I'll be happy to meet with whatever, you know, at one time we had a benefits and wellness committee that was comprised of a couple of magistrates and treasurer and HR. We're using the Administrative Services Committee now. I'll be more than happy to meet with you quarterly.
I'm just thinking, something maybe Ashley could roll into her.
Yeah, we're getting really good
Yeah.
analytics from them, and we have a dashboard that we get, and so I would be glad myself to come before Fiscal Court on a quarterly basis and just to kind of update you all on where we're at in the market and where we are ourselves, so.
I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
Jamie, thank you.
And we appreciate you very
Yep.
much.
Thank you.
all.
Appreciate you. So now, I believe we have Mr. Casey Cash, and I haven't had the opportunity to meet you, and you may never come back to Franklin County after sitting through a meeting, but hopefully you will, because we're all nice people and we're doing good work here. So you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, tell everybody who you're with and what we're doing tonight.
All right, so my name's Casey Cash. I'm with the Bluegrass Ad. I know you had Shane in here just a while ago to talk about the BEAD project in broadband, but I'm their water management planner, so everything that has to do with sewer and water in the Bluegrass area, I am involved in some way, shape, or form. And I believe that's why Tammy West asked for me to come here and speak with you guys today, because I know she's not here for that. So I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with this state line item that you've received. I can go over that a little bit if you'd like, or if you just want to save time and field questions, I can do that.
Could you go ahead and skim it a little bit for
Okay.
everybody, please?
I've got a couple calls already asking questions, so.
Okay, basically this is a state line item grant that was passed in House Bill 1 earlier this year. It's for $2.8 million for the Elkhorn sanitation sewer extension project that you guys have. I believe that project is around $3,430,000 total to get that done. So this is a large portion of that. And there was mention when I talked with Tammy about some interested parties and maybe donating to help cover some of that cost. I'm not sure what the state of that is. I didn't get a very long conversation with her on that, but that's an option along with other funding sources out there if you guys need to. We can look at that down the road though. Right now it's the state line item grant, and this is the assistance agreement from KIA. Basically this is going to, instead of how they used to do it where they would just, the state would write a check and give it to you guys, it's going to be funneled through the Kentucky Infrastructure Authority, and you're going to have to go through the administrative process that they do for like Cleaner Water, Fund F, Fund B, and you're going to have to basically go through KIA to request the funds. So the assistance agreement is the first step. This is basically the legal agreement between KIA and yourselves to accept this money and to administrate it, go through those administrative hurdles, I guess you could say, to get that money and make sure that you are following the proper laws, the proper procurement, the proper legal hoops, per se, to get it. So, does anyone have any questions about what I've mentioned so far?
If you don't mind, before we ask questions,
Yes,
I'm going to turn it over to Max. Max, have you reviewed this, just for the record?
I have, I've asked for some clarifications on some certain things that are contained in that agreement, and I think received those clarifications, so I think it looks good.
All right, thank you. All right, questions? Squire Tanner?
Does the Bluegrass Ad administer the grant?
So, legally, you guys are you have to figure out how to administrate it yourselves, and I know normally you would have a grant administrator, but we do offer that as a service, so we can contract that to administrate it. We do a lot of KIA grants like this, so it's a very familiar process. We have all the documentation. We can do that if you would like. We usually charge between 1 and 1.5% of that amount. And I don't know if anyone's spoken with you, Judge, about that.
I met with David yesterday.
Okay, perfect. I think we were looking at if you guys were interested in doing 1% on this, if you want us to contract with that. And we would do all the administrative work. We would go through, we'd get this taken care of with the administrative agreement. We would go through and help with the procurement process, the engineer. We would do all of the reporting. We would handle the draw requests. We would even create a draw book so that we have a journal of all the draws that you guys do, and we have a process for you to properly track that. So there's no question that anything is being done improperly. So,
Are you all currently helping us with Farmdale?
We are,
project
yes, sir.
too? All right, other questions?
Is there
For Wisman?
a general time frame for project completion? I didn't see anything mandated as part of that in the,
There isn't for the assistance agreement, but on schedule, on the project profile, we have it for December 1st, 2026 is the final completion date. That, of course, could change once we start getting involved with an engineer and doing plans and specs.
but it's not mandated by this contract?
It's
for
not,
the
no.
funds?
That is correct.
And I did see Exhibit 7, the e-clearinghouse, it says the appropriation was made through House Bill 1 of 2022 regular session. I think it should be 2023 unless I'm wrong in there, but
Yeah, I can contact KI and get that fixed. I didn't even notice that, so just a good
that's the only thing I found.
Okay.
Any other questions for Casey while he's here?
Or 2024, technically.
All righty, thank you very
Thank you.
much. Appreciate you being with us tonight.
Thank you, Judge.
Thanks for all you all do. All righty, next I believe our Amy, our treasurer, is coming up. Good evening, Amy, how are you?
So court, because we are nearing the end of the obligation period for ARPA, this agenda item is proposing allocating the remainder of our revenue loss allowance to government services. Be happy to ask.
Yeah, Amy,
Answer any
could you
questions?
speak to the advice that starts in Harbison? I don't see really a conversation with them in our packet about their advice on this allocation and the legality of it and any other implications that it might have.
Sure, I've been working with them since probably about June, because I've had the same concerns as the court about making sure that this money was obligated. This was one option, and so as we've gotten further and further and closer to that deadline, this was their recommendation.
And it doesn't restrict there's no other blowback from this option at all? I don't know.
No,
Any
it's,
restriction of funds or?
and that is why we hired Compass and Stites, was so that they would recommend, they know all of the rules of allocating ARPA money, and so this is an allowable expense.
And the fee for Compass and Stites is identical, each $45,000?
It is.
Squire Blackburn, you had your hand up?
Thank you.
We've actually done this before with, in the beginning, when we paid first responders and things.
You did.
like this.
You did.
And what was the reason again why they recommended this?
Because we're getting close to that obligation. December 31st is the final, but the money has to be obligated. And, that means contracts have to be in place.
So I see on this, it says allocated to government services, a budget amendment will be made to transfer the funds from ARPA to general. Now, I know, basically, it leaves us the same monies, minus the fees. But with me, I know the ARPA funds were, I think, developed for cases of paying loss and things like that, but also for transformational projects. And I think the broadband and just getting internet to all the homes in the county was something that the previous court wanted and something that this court wants as well. And also for what we'd already talked about obliging the funds for. So do you recommend a line or a fund line that we put the money, instead of just general, that we put it for like capital expenditures going towards those things?
Yes, and when I wrote this, I put general, but after thinking, it will do a budget amendment to move it from the ARPA fund to the capital improvement fund. That money will be set aside in a contingency line, and the court will decide what project they're going to use it for. And that'll come before the court before we do that.
So this action just removes a deadline.
It does.
All righty, thank you, Amy. We'll go to the next one.
Just Judge, quickly, Amy, so just to clarify, I just want to put some things on the record, this is effectively revenue replacement or expenditure replacement for the year ended in June of '24.
Right.
So these expenditures in the general fund, are these reflective of total expenses in our budget? I didn't go back to review to budget. Or did we select, we obviously did not select all of our county's expenses. How did you choose what items, or were there any precursors or favorable line items to be chosen for revenue replacement, I'm going to say? I don't know if that's the best term, but.
So Stites recommended that we use actual expenses from fiscal year ending '24, salaries, benefits, utilities. Of course, I deducted any salaries that are covered by other federal grants. So I took that total, deducted anything that were already any expenses that were already covered by federal grants. We started with the general fund, then you'll see the road fund, and then the jail fund finished out that balance.
And there aren't any funds in here including things that we allocate to other agencies, let's say, like
No,
the elderly center, for instance.
no.
Just putting a few talking points on record. Thank you.
Right, Tanner?
I'm sure this is a stupid question, but the expenditures that's listed in here was zeros out that ARCA fund. There's to be no money left in that.
It obligates. So if you'll remember, we still have the obligation of Farmdale of $1.5 million, so that will remain in there until we start drawing that down.
But that's obligated to the sewer, Farmdale
Yes,
sewer, is that
yeah.
correct?
But it will, if your question, will it obligate everything? Yes.
Okay.
With this agenda item, everything will be
There's nothing left to be
obligated.
obligated by December the 31st?
That's right.
Thank you.
But that fund will keep Farmdale 1.5 million, and the water district that you referred to earlier for 100,000 until that's used. So you'll still see that fund. You'll still see an amount in that fund, but we have 2 years. That has to be spent by December 31st, 2026.
That's the sewer grant and the $100,000.
Yes.
Okay.
Let me ask, because I hadn't actually thought of it, those funds are allocated. If those funds aren't actually used by those projects for whatever purpose or not fully used, what is our recourse then to?
At this point, it will be to return.
Okay.
Now, there are discussions that the Treasury may change that, but at this point, it has not been changed. If for some reason those 2 allocations, it's not used, then it will be returned.
Is there any point in having a conversation of using some of our expenses in the last budget year to go ahead and transfer those funds into our general fund for those projects as well, in the off instance that they are not able to be used by the end of 2026?
I would say no, since we've already obligated it.
But I think, Squire, yeah, it is a good question, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do think with everything going on and just even the big conversation tonight with broadband, and we all know the park projects out there, I don't think we'll have any problem spending, you know, what we said we were going to spend. And
I don't anticipate that the Franklin County having any problems of concern somewhat, not overly, about the sewer district being able to move that money through there, which they can't give it back. I mean, they give it all the way back.
I think we're going to draw from the ARPA money first, and my understanding is that could start happening in April of 2025.
Yeah, and as far as Farmdale, just since we're talking about that, I had a conversation yesterday. They're hoping with environmental clearance maybe within the week. So we're just kind of waiting on that to see. So there's a lot of things happening. I know there's been a lot of hard work on that project between Bluegrass Ad and everybody. So we will hopefully have some good news for the court by the end of the year on that project. So, but Amy, I appreciate you working on this with States and Harbison. I think it's a good plan, and we appreciate it. All righty.
I want to add, their fee agree that we're required to make this transaction happen. Through their advice and the investments that we've made, has far outweighed the fee. Right?
Two different things.
Different entity.
Or a cash
Are you talking
vest.
about the investments through cash vest?
Yes.
The interest that we've earned? Sure.
I know it's two different entities, but same.
Right, we've invested this ARPA money. It has been earning as
Yeah.
it's sitting there, it's earning right now. So, of
Right.
course, we've earned in excess.
All right, next one, Amy.
This is the quarterly report to the Department of Local Government. I'd just like to let you know that that has been filed. We'll go on over the numbers in the next agenda item. So the next agenda item is the quarterly report for the 3 months ended September 30th. Receipts, $6.5 million, expenditures, $9.7 million, leaving a shortage of $3.1 million, adding in the fund balance as of June 30th, $29.9 million, giving us a fund balance of $26.8 million. And I've also included the revenues and expenses as of October 11th in your packet.
Any questions for Amy on this report?
Amy, do you intend to
Squire
bring us
Wisman.
a budget transfer at the next court meeting, or do you think waiting a little longer to closer to the end of the year for?
I
cover some of
do
this.
have 2 small budget transfers that will be coming up, and I'll probably go ahead and start that budget amendment. If the court should choose to do this obligation, I'll probably start that process and do the first reading within the next couple of courts.
Squire Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. We should also be receiving some revenues once the tax bills go out. And so that will make us whole, because as we talked at the last court meeting, unfortunately, we're in a position where we have to front some things for the entire year in the month of July and August. So we are not structurally imbalanced.
Thank you, Squire. Amy, thank you. All righty, next one is payment of claims. Anybody have any questions for Kim on payment of claims?
Got a few, Judge.
Squire Tanner, do you have a question?
No, it wouldn't be.
Oh, I'm sorry. Squire Wisman, do you have something?
Yeah, a few things. If just give me a second to find all of them.
Anybody else while he's looking for his questions?
Can I?
Go ahead, Squire, thank
Under
you.
road fund bills, the office materials, there's 302 gallons of diesel from Robinson Oil, and then Robinson Oil is then petroleum. I'm assuming that was just put in the wrong fund potentially?
It was, I have fixed that.
Okay. And then the, sorry. We have a $512 for Bob banners for Abracadabra Graphics under interlocal special events. I don't know what that is.
Bourbon on the Bank signs.
We had put that in the budget. Instead of giving them direct money this year, we decided to do banners on the outskirts of entryways in Franklin County. So we had banners put up.
I thought, against my vote, I thought there was an allocation of $5,000 directly to Bourbon on the Banks and not any in lieu. That I remembered, okay. I'm
Not that I remember.
Wrong.
No, not this year, it was last year.
There's a Cunningham Electric, $1,435 for installation of new LED lights at the pole barn at the park. I'm wondering which one that is, and I'm kind of wondering if there's a, well, we need to get an energy committee meeting probably together fairly soon, because we've talked about transition of LED lights, and I'm just wondering kind of if we can get an idea, maybe Parks can report to us about other needs of replacements. I thought that some of the work was done out there with the energy improvements in years past, but I'm
I don't
not
think
really
it
sure
lasts, you know, and we're trying to get a hold of ESG to kind of have them come in and give us a report on what they did do. I wasn't on that committee at the time. I believe Squire Blackburn was. I don't remember anything being in the park. I know the jail consumed most of it.
Some of the low-hanging fruit like that, it was low, as far as, our staff at the time, our maintenance staff was gonna transition those things throughout their, time and integrate that stuff.
But it wasn't included in the original ESG bid?
No,
Okay.
That was,
no.
Yeah, go ahead, Squire.
so that wasn't, and some things that happened at the fire station
Yeah.
were done internally that were identified as part of that overall study,
Yeah.
but they were done by internal staff.
Yep.
So
Or they're,
that
yeah,
the focus could be at the jail.
yep. Thank you, Squire.
Since I caught that, I thought good just to
Yeah.
revisit that. We've talked about it a few times, that we need to be more maybe proactive in making some capital expenditures and transitioning to some of those energy-saving opportunities. So, and then litter grant program, Frankfurt News Media, town hall meeting, plastic waste for $548.25. Is that for the meeting that a separate entity had? Did we make a newspaper advertisement for? I was under the assumption that that was
Allie's not
held
here.
and.
I don't know the answer to that question. I mean, unless Kim does. I mean, we'd have to ask Allie. I don't.
I'll get a better classification from Ally, and I'll give it to you.
I think that's all I had in those, or in that one anyway.
Okay. Alrighty, we're going to do authorization to go into closed session per KRS 61.8101BF, deliberations on the future acquisition and sale of real property by a public agency, but only when publicly would be likely to affect the value of the specific piece of property to be acquired for public use or sold by a public agency, discussions or hearings which might lead to the appointment, discipline, or dismissal of an individual employee.
Judge, I'd also like to add and/or discussions about pending or proposed litigation.
Say that again?
I'd like to add to the closed session about and/or discussions about pending or proposed litigation.
Tonight?
I'd like to bring up something. If we can.
Max, is that okay if it's?
Can amend that,
Something.
I don't know about this late in the game.
Because it's been advertised as
Right.
Can we hold it till, yeah, I don't,
I'm concerned, but I would like to, but
maybe we could have a meeting afterwards, something to talk about it, just me, you, and Max?
we'll see.
Okay, fine.
Who motioned and who second?
All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. All right, we're in closed session. Alrighty. Motion to go back into open session? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Next agenda item is authorization for the county judge to enter into negotiations of potential real property acquisition. Any comments on that? Seeing none, we're going to move down to the next, the authorization promotion of assistant jailer. Alrighty. All those in favor to table this item, say aye.
Aye.
Did be in the votes, is that it? Okay, we'll wait on that then.
We can do it now.
Alrighty, other business. Does anybody have other
Yeah, we can't
business?
do any of it
Oh,
now.
what is that? Alright, Kelly, saw you first, I'm sorry.
Okay, so I have two related but kind of different things that I wanted to talk to you guys about. So you all know how passionate I am about the Boys and Girls Club. And we've had some conversation about thinking about maybe leasing the property that we have on, what's the name of the road?
Glens Creek.
Glens Creek. I want to say East Main every time, but it's actually Glens Creek. To that organization at like a reduced kind of fee because they're a nonprofit and we give them, we gave them money. Anyway, there's a way to work all of that out, and I would like for you all to consider that. The other part of that, which you guys are gonna love, you're gonna love this.
She's been here too long.
I have, I'm slap happy. They need to raise a bunch of money, as does the senior center. And so I came up with an idea to help them do that. I think that we should all kind of have a competition with our districts to raise funds for those two organizations. That's what I think. And
Does the money
if you
have to
vote
come
no,
within
I'm
your
going to
district?
assume that you're afraid I'm gonna beat you. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. I think it does several different things, and I actually did talk to Amy Snow about this in all seriousness. They need to raise money. She is exhausted. They are working so hard, and they're doing too many things. They're doing a great job, but I think that this is something that will really help this community. It will help the kids in this community. It is definitely a way to keep kids out of trouble, keep them away from drug and alcohol abuse. I mean, so many things. And it's a good way to kind of help the community understand what it is and why it's important and get buy-in. I think we all know that we have a serious problem in this town, and we have lots of parents that have been incarcerated. We've just got kids that are floundering, and we need to help them. And I think this is the best way to do that. And I think it's the best way to help our community become a healthier place in the future, because these kids are our future. If we don't do something now, we're in trouble. So I thought it would be a fun way to do it. If our districts kind of, if we ask our constituents, to donate, and then we make it a fun thing where we're kind of going against each other and trying to beat each other in this process, I think people get excited and they're having fun, and we raise some money for a really great cause. And they can choose whether it's the senior center, or they can choose to give it to this organization.
Thoughts? Eric? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, Sherry, do you have a thought on this or separate?
I'm sorry, I was raising my finger for something.
Okay, can we discuss this first? Okay, I'll call, yeah. Go ahead.
That facility, I think we made a mistake when we gave it before, not that we shouldn't have given it to them, but we need to establish the going commercial rate
It was not
for,
given.
let me finish what I'm saying. The going commercial rate for that facility, what that would be on the open market, and have that as the consideration if we then lease for a nominal amount. The difference between those can be an in-kind match that helps a lot with these organizations to be able to fundraise, to say, hey, we've got a $250,000 lease that's been given to us in kind. they can use that to leverage a lot of match. So
They
we need to make
can.
sure to account to do that
I
this
think
time.
we can get creative with everything. I think for tonight, because we could potentially put on the next agenda if that's the will of the court. But I think tonight, I would just like to hear from everybody. I think we can work that, Kelly, I love Squire Day, because I love that idea, and Eric too. But what's the will of the court? I mean, do you all think that that would be a good use of our facility, because it is one of our 15 buildings on Glens Creek there?
I'm all in.
Yeah.
I don't see anything any better.
Okay. So if we're good with that, then we'll work on some details, okay? All righty. Squire Sebastian, you had your hand up next, I believe.
Thank you, Judge.
Yeah.
So just want to get some things on the court's agenda, again, on your schedule. So we discussed Friendsgiving, October 30th from 11 to 1. And that's at Thornhill. Halloween is October, and it will be observed October 31st from 6 to 8 p.m. Might want to just put that on your calendar. We've received a schedule for Lakeview Park from our contractor, our general contractor. Pre-bids, 11/6/24. The bid date itself, 11/14/24. Under contract, 12/23/24, and construction to commence on or about 1/6/25. So in light of that schedule, my question, I guess, is who can update the court on the status of the sports commission that asked you?
We talked about that today, and we are in final negotiations with the attorney that we hired. We're trying to work out some details as far as percentages, because I know right now, the Grand's still getting the 1% from the hotel tax. So Amy's been working on that, trying to figure out where they are with getting their bond paid off and things like that, so we can move forward with it. So Eddie needs a couple final details. I know Amy emailed him today some documents that she had found and archived.
So you said the final negotiations, who are they with?
Well, no.
And I still have more things.
Yeah.
Who are the final negotiations with?
Well,
You said the attorney.
I didn't mean negotiations per se. I mean, our attorney, Eddie Jones, he's working on the sports commission.
Right.
He needed some more information. I probably misspoke. He needed some more information. Sorry, I'm tired. Amy sent it to him today, so I'm hopeful they'll have that done by the end of the year.
Okay.
That is the goal right there.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
The Rotary, Optimus, and Kiwanis are coming together on November 18th from 11 to 1 p.m. at the VFW Post 4075, which is in the lovely First District. And all the benefits that day will benefit Roslyn. So please put that on your calendar.
What time is that? I'm sorry.
11 to 1.
11 to 1 on the 18th.
On the 18th.
Okay.
And then we had the standing thing that I was able to get worked out with at the soup kitchen access, where we prepared last year the meal and then served that meal. This year, it's on Sunday, November 24th, so please put that on your calendar.
That's a great
Us
thing.
as the court.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, yeah.
You wouldn't have been,
Yeah.
but we had a really good time.
Yeah.
Thank God Morgan was there.
It was, it was a
I'm sorry, what's that?
November 24th.
I'm trying to
Sure.
get in there.
I'll have, hey guys, on all those, because Andrew's watching, I'll have him maybe send out calendar.
that would be awesome.
It's all,
And
I
I
can't
can
keep up.
I can just get it together. The thing is, it depends on what Brian tells us the meal will be, what time we have to get there to start the meal. Some meals are more quickly prepared than others, so it just depends.
all right, is that it for other business? Sherry, do you have anything else, or was that?
Well, I will just say, while I was on the comment about the soup kitchen, Brian had reached out and said that they are in dire need of shampoo and body wash.
Okay.
The standard size bottles, not the hotel
Yeah,
bottles.
yeah.
So I asked him, which is a good thing, he said, the 3-in-1 combination, like with shampoo, conditioner, and body wash, he said they get the entire bottle and can do everything with one, rather than carrying many bottles with them. So they have asked if there are people. I've already dropped off a lot,
Yep.
but that still is a
Cool.
need for them, and they
Anybody
greatly
watching too?
appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And the senior center, the quilting guild, the local quilters guild, have gotten together and put together stockings, and they want to stuff those, and there are 160 that they have prepared. So they are taking sample size bottles of soap, lotion, things like that to give to seniors who get home delivered meals. So
Oh,
this
cool.
is a really
Yeah,
good thing.
that's great.
You can drop it off at many local banks, at the senior center.
And it's a great way to help someone.
That's awesome.
How many do they have?
I can't.
You could send me
160.
160.
And our neighbors just put those together as a great thing. I've worked on that all summer. It's a great project.
And if the court wants to look at going together and throwing a little money in, maybe we could go to Costco or somewhere and buy it in bulk. If y'all want to do it together, I'd be happy
Yeah.
to do that. I think that'd be a really cool thing, so
Great idea.
we can talk about that.
Thank you, Judge.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's a great meeting. Alrighty, we're ready to roll?
Judge.
Oh, I'm sorry. Start with you.
Well, related to what Squire Sebastian brought up, the Sports Commission, I know this has been in discussion for a couple of years, but other than bumping into the attorney at a conference in Louisville recently and having a little bit of conversation, I've not heard or seen anything about the particulars to it. It'd be nice to have that attorney come make a presentation so our body and the county as a whole could know how it would work, what particulars there are.
I can send you the rough draft if you want. I was trying to get to the end, so it was done, so we could talk about it then, so everybody would know, because there's still a couple things in question.
Just to clarify,
Yeah.
though, that there's not been a decision made by either the city or the county body yet, and
It's
this
a
has
county
been a,
decision, but yeah. Yep.
but this has been an initiative that's been going, so I want
Yeah.
to make sure that we have plenty of time for input from the county
Yeah.
and our voters before that happens. Relatable, I've been made aware, and I think we all know that there's seemingly a lot of tractor trailers being stored around our community full of retail merchandise, flammable bourbon, not aging bourbon generally, that's in confined areas, but I've been concerned that it seems to be a growing industry for storage of that in and around residential areas and otherwise. And I'm concerned about future implications, where those things can be, and effectively, right now, it seems to be completely unregulated at our local level. So I wanted to ask this court for unilateral, or not unilateral, unison, to direct our planning staff to come up with some regulations to impart into at least our zoning rewrite that's about to happen, or to take forward to the Planning Commission to consider regulations, setbacks, types of containers, all of those things about where that product can be stored in our community.
It's my understanding, because Ben and I talked a couple months ago, that it has to be in a commercial or industrial area. So if you have something.
We've approved some industrial areas right in the middle of residential neighborhoods recently, and I'm concerned that one of them is about to be a problem, and so some others there too. We have industrial areas directly, on our agenda tonight, we have an industrial area that backs up directly to a residential neighborhood.
Okay.
So I think we need to put some real groundwork into somewhat regulating a booming business, but about keeping our citizens safe, and it's been brought to my attention, some
What are the thoughts
residents
of
are
the
very
court?
concerned about,
I
what.
agree.
At least get it into the hands of the planning commission and
Yeah.
our staff to see if
Yeah.
there's a precedent in other communities, because I'm sure there is. And
Okay.
for sure, research it
Yeah.
and think of remedies.
Already, duly noted.
I'd like to try to fast track that and get ahead of it before we have this code rewrite, because I think it will be part of that, where there are types of containers potentially that could be acceptable,
Yeah.
or setbacks from residential areas, or if things are going to be stored there, much like the distilleries have appropriate fire suppression, for instance, or
Yeah.
things like that. So,
All right. Yeah. Duly noted. Alrighty, we're gonna roll. Everybody's ready to go. We're gonna go into the voting session. Clerk, oh, I'm sorry.
But this is. We're not gonna go to the business in the next session. One other business right now?
We are.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to hire a mechanic for the road department.
second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. That will be added to our voting session. Thank you, Squire. Alrighty, we're now officially going to go into our voting session, October 16th. And clerk, please call roll.
Squire Sebastian,
Here.
Squire Blackburn,
Present.
Squire Dykus,
Here.
Squire Harrod,
Here.
Squire Tanner,
Here.
Squire Wisman,
Present.
Judge Mueller,
Present, thank you, clerk. Authorization for approval of minutes from regular meeting of September 25, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Present.
Motion passes. Authorization for approval of sheriff's surplus of vehicles for trade-in and/or gov deals.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to receive the Elkhorn Water District Independent Auditor's Report for years ended December 31, 2023 and 2022.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to receive the Peaksville Water District Independent Auditor's Report for year end December 31, 2023 and 2022.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Second reading and approval of an ordinance amending the table of special ordinances, Section 1, zoning map changes of the Franklin County Code of Ordinances for a .34 acre tract located at 1501-1507 Twilight Trail from Industrial Commercial IC to Rural Limited Commercial CL District. The property is described in deed book 588, page 138 in the office of the Franklin County Clerk, and further identified as PVA map number 050-00-00-089.18.
So moved.
Second.
Judge, I have some discussion.
Go ahead, Squire.
I need to recuse myself from this vote.
Okay. Clerk, do you have that noted?
Yes.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to advertise for sealed bids for dump beds and snow equipment for 2024 Ford chassis and cab.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve purchase for various items regarding the new road garage project up to $225,000.
So moved.
Second.
Did you get it, Clerk?
Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to renew health insurance coverage with United Healthcare beginning January 1, 2025 until December 31, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to renew employee-only medical waiver plan through a health reimbursement account, HRA, from January 1, 2025 through December 31, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to add employee-only health savings account, HSA, option for January 1, 2025 through December 31, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve a resolution of the Franklin County Fiscal Court accepting the grant assistance agreement, authorizing the amendment of the Franklin County Fiscal Court's annual budget, and authorizing the representative to sign all related documents.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to approve an American Rescue Plan Act state and local fiscal recovery fund expenditure.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to receive Treasurer's Quarterly Report for 3 months ending September 30th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to receive Treasurer's Report.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Payment of claims. Is there a motion to deny any payment of claims? No motion was made. Let the record reflect claims are to be paid. Authorization for the county judge executive to enter into negotiations of potential real property acquisitions.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Next agenda item. Table. I need to ask to table. I need to take a vote table, I guess. Alrighty, authorization to approve the promotion of Richard LeMay to assistant jailer.
I'll make the motion to table this.
A second.
All those in favor of table this, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, this agenda item has been tabled. Authorization to amend the agenda, well, we already did that. Authorization to hire Matthew Pridmore as a mechanic for the road department.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Authorization to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
There's no way you couldn't be second on it.